Yes, our phone number coast to coast is 1-800-223-4141. I start this out with an old English prayer. On this day, O Lord, give us a bit of sun, a bit of work, and a bit of fun. Give to us amid the struggle and the sputter our daily bread and a bit of butter. Give us health ours to keep and a bit to spare for others' sake. Give us, too, a bit of song and a friendly hand to help along. Give us also a chance to be brave, wise, and free, to do our best as for ourselves and others, till all men learn to live as brothers. Come aboard. I'm Bernard Meltzer. You're on Talknet. Good evening.
Hello?
Welcome.
Yes, Dr. Meltzer. I have a slight problem here. I own a pit bull terrier, pit bulldog.
What kind of dog?
Pit bulldog.
A pit bulldog.
Right, pit bull.
They're rough.
Well, they've had some bad publicity.
Yep.
All right, well, mine is a very docile female. Anyway, I bought her in Tucson, Arizona.
Right.
And I've moved now to Massachusetts.
Right.
Okay, I have found out since I've gotten here that a lot of the area, different towns, small towns around,
will not license pit dogs.
Right. So, do they? What can I do?
Nothing you can do.
Other than move back, or do they have? Can they honor
move some other place?
Yeah.
Now, the reason why they don't license them is because they've learned, and there have been complaints that these pit bulldogs have actually been responsible for killing a number of people.
Right.
And attacking people.
I understand that.
So therefore, the fact that you have one that may be different doesn't mean that you can force them to give you a license.
Mm-hmm. Well, do they have to? Can I have them honor a license that I bought somewhere else, or no?
Well, no, because the license where you bought somewhere else is only good for a certain period before you move into the new area.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, if you buy let's say you have a license in the state of X, and you move to the state of Y.
Mm-hmm.
The license in the state of Y is only good, say, for 90 days.
Oh, okay.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying to you right now, my good friend, either get another dog or move some other place.
It looks like I'm going to have to move.
The dog is more valuable.
Well, I've got about 700 wrapped up in her now.
Uh-huh.
They're not cheap.
What do you use the dog for?
Well, I'm trying to...
Train her?
No, she's just a house pet. She's a very lovable dog.
Very lovable dog?
Yeah,
God
her
bless
mother
you.
was, and so was her father.
Well, then it's a very unusual pit bulldog. The ones that I know, in fact, I have a neighbor that has two of them. He hides them. They're that dangerous.
Yeah, well, if you give a dog, I studied them quite a while before I went and bought one, but I fell in love with this one.
Well,
she's just a doll. And, I understand the bad publicity that they've got. People, it's the same with any dog. If
they've gotten a lot of bad publicity. Oh, a lot of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, lots of luck.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Meltzer.
Bye-bye. I've observed, for example, that children are not afraid of water at all. A young child is not afraid of water at all. Except there's an exception to the statement I just made. You add a little soap, and all of a sudden, the kid gets very scared of water. Good evening, friend. Welcome to Talknet.
Yes, good evening, Dr. Meltzer.
Welcome.
I'd like to know more about college degrees for life experience. I believe you touched on it briefly last evening, but I see many advertisements in magazines and elsewhere that college degrees, as far up as doctorate degrees, are offered for life experience. Are these...
Well, not quite. What they do is they offer credit.
Uh-huh.
There are legitimate schools that say if a man, for example, is aged, let's say, 45, and in 20, 30 years he's been out of school, he's acquired a certain amount of life experience if he's read. In other words, what does schooling mean? Most of it, your education comes from reading. Many college graduates never read a book after they graduate. Many people, on the other hand, continuously read and continuously study. That person, for example, might be way ahead of a college graduate 10 years later. So those schools, of course, will usually give you an examination. And what have you picked up? In other words, for example, if you want to major in chemistry, they want to know what you know about chemistry, maybe what you know about English, what do you know about history, and so on. But more and more colleges are going that way for one simple reason. The typical college 20 years ago was catered to the 18 to 22-year-old kid. Today, the population that's growing is the middle-aged population and also the mature population. And colleges recognize that if they're going to stay competitive, they got to serve that population. But of course, there's another kind, which you talk about, which is so-called diploma mills. We're not talking about those at all.
Right.
Okay?
All right, fine. Thank you very much. Where would I find information on the legitimate ones, and how can I do?
Get yourself into a nice bookstore, and you'll find they usually have a section where books on colleges, credits, what they teach, what they are, who they are, and so on. Read through it, you'll get that information.
Is it possible, for example, a person who's been in business throughout his life with only a high school education to receive a degree, let's say a BA degree in business administration, or let's say a person who may
Well, of course, here's what I'm trying to say. Legitimately, I'm talking about now.
Right.
It might be the person you described never went to college at all.
Right.
However, they might decide giving him a test of the 120 credits required for degrees, already acquired 60 of them. Mm-hmm. That's what I mean.
I see.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much, sir.
Bye-bye. Good evening, my friend. Welcome. I'm Bernard Meltzer, and this is Talknet. Bernard Meltzer. Our toll-free number is 1-800-223-4141. Very often people ask me, they say, Bernard Meltzer, what shall we call you? Here's the answer to that question. I would be honored if you would call me just friend. I like that title best of all. But if you want to be more formal, you can call me Mr. Bernard Meltzer, Captain Bernard Meltzer, Dr. Bernard Meltzer. All these titles have been earned by hard work, study, and service. Good evening, my friend. Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hello, Dr. Meltzer.
Yes, friend.
I'd like to ask your opinion on whether I should consider buying a house or continue renting.
Well, let's find out a little bit who you are. How old are you?
I'm 28, single.
Single. And what are you doing now?
I'm studying for a doctorate degree.
In what?
In optics.
How far away are you?
Approximately halfway.
Now, what's halfway mean? A year, 2 years, 5 years?
2 or 3 years.
More year to go?
Yes.
And then after that, do you have to serve an internship?
No, I would try to find employment.
And you don't know where you would find employment. It might be a city 100 miles away. It might be 1,000 miles away. Am I correct?
Yes.
And what kind of rent? What rent are you paying now?
About $200.
$200 a month.
Yes.
If you went to buy a house, what would you pay?
I would be looking at houses about $30,000.
30?
Yes.
Did you say 30?
Yes.
When you take a $30,000 house for taxes and repairs and maintenance and so on, it probably goes up to about $500 a month, imputed rent. So therefore, while you are a student, I would say keep paying your $200 a month rent. Don't buy. Concentrate on your studies and finish your whatever you're doing. Get a gainful job. After you've got that point, then you can buy.
Okay.
You understand? Don't buy now. Don't load yourself up with real estate right now. There's no need for it, and it'll cost you more than double to buy than it costs to rent. And I get it right now. You are not very rich.
Yes.
Bye-bye. You know, there's an old American proverb that says, hard work never killed anybody. You've heard that before. Hard work never killed anybody. Everybody's shaking their head. However, the same can be said for some hard loafing. It never killed anybody either. Good evening, friend. Welcome here to Talknet.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you, doctor. I am in my home 4 months.
Right.
I received in the mail yesterday a notice that my property is being reassessed. Naturally, it will be more.
Of course.
They tell me I can appeal it, which I would like to do.
Yes, you can appeal it.
But on what basis? What can I say when I go?
Well, now, let me warn you a little bit what happened here.
Please.
You see, you bought the property. What did you pay for it?
It was a lot of money.
How much?
A $90,000 home.
And what's it assessed for before you bought it?
I don't know.
What did they raise it to?
What did they what?
Raise it to. What's it assessed for now?
Oh, they're raising it $2,000.
You're very lucky.
Really?
Let me tell you why. Because you see what happens is properties, by the way, especially properties that are not new, are usually assessed, and then the same assessment stays on the record for year after year after year.
All right.
But one day the property is sold. A copy of that sales information goes to the assessor, and now he adjusts it. Because the prices have gone up and the property is sold for is a lot higher than the assessment. And the assessor says, okay, we'll raise it. You want to appeal it? Then you've got to show the fact that your property, similar properties like yours are assessed for less money. And that's hard to show.
Be like impossible, yeah.
Well, it's not impossible. If you go out and get yourself a good real estate appraiser and pay him a couple $100, he may be able to do the job for you.
Get a real estate appraiser.
But for $2,000, it doesn't pay to fight.
You don't think it does?
No.
Well, if you say so, that's good enough for me.
Listen to Uncle Bernard.
Well, that's why I'm calling, sir. I have respect for what you say.
But in general, my radio family, listen to this. When you buy a piece of real estate that's a couple of years old, there's a good chance after you buy it, the property will increase in assessment. That's Bernard Meltzer's law of assessment. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. You know, trouble is usually produced by people who ordinarily produce little else in life. Trouble. Good evening, friend. Are you there?
Brother Bernard.
Yes, my friend.
Hi, it's wonderful to talk to you. My husband and I listen to your show all the time. We really admire it. First of all, I have kind of a silly question for you. I just read in Sporting News that there was a Bernard Meltzer who was the arbitrator for Danny Cox's salary decision. Was that you?
Oh, no, that's not that Bernard Meltzer has money. He's good looking. He's handsome. He's wealthy.
Well, it sounds like you.
You got the... you don't know me.
No, I just know from your voice. No. Okay, now here's my serious question.
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Pittsburgh.
Well, I spent 3 years of my life in Pittsburgh.
You did?
Lovely thing. A long time ago, again, when I was young and handsome, and I was a civil engineer, up and down the Ohio, the Allegheny, and Monongahela River, we were building flood control facilities.
Wow.
The reason why Pittsburgh doesn't flood anymore is because Bernard Meltzer built some dams.
Well, we appreciate that.
Well, every time it rains, and remember that, put a sign in downtown Pittsburgh.
We'll have a sign that says, "Thank you, Brother Bernard."
Yeah. And also, I'll tell you one other thing. When I was down there, you couldn't wear a white shirt.
Why?
The smog.
Oh, it's not like that now. Yeah.
It's much better now.
It's much better now. Okay, well, here's my more serious question.
What is that?
My husband and I are both 32, and we have about $30,000 to invest that we previously had in CDs, which are now maturing.
Right.
And we're investigating mutual funds, and we're wondering if it's risky to put it all in different sorts of mutual funds.
It's risky to put all of it in anything except guaranteed investments by Uncle Sam. So I would say one thing. If you want to put, let's say, half, I have no objection. If you want to put a quarter, you have no objection. But you don't put 100%, because keep in mind one thing, and every time I say it, I get drop-dead letters from broker. But you'll protect me, won't you?
Yes, sir.
One day, if the stock market decides to crash through the floor, you and your mutual funds will be in bad shape. And therefore, you have to have some investments that will not be too severely affected by the crash of the stock market. That's why you don't put all of it in one.
Okay, well, what about like a Ginnie Mae fund, something like that?
All right, let me tell you what I would recommend for a couple like you right now. I would say about a quarter to a half. It depends how you value risk. Should go into non-risk situations. By that I define as bank CDs, insured by Uncle Sam,
right,
or government notes, government bills, and government bonds. Got that?
Notes, bills, bonds.
Then another quarter of it should go, because you're a young couple, your income tax problems are going to get worse and worse.
Yeah, they sure are.
About another quarter should go into tax-free municipals of high grade.
Tax-free municipals.
Now, the other quarter should go into mutual funds, Ginnie Mae's, or anything else you want. Now you've got a good distribution, and if Uncle Sam decides to, or the market decides to crash, or Bolivia doesn't want to pay us the debt, or Ecuador doesn't want to pay us, or Mexico doesn't want to pay us, or Brazil doesn't want to pay us, or Argentina doesn't want to pay us, at least you're not subject to the wild swings of your capital.
Okay, I'm getting the general idea. Okay, well, we sure appreciate it. We really, really love your show.
And I love Pittsburgh.
Me too.
Thank you, friend.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
There's a lot of book knowledge in my answers. You kind of get that. There's a lot of life experience in my answers. You kind of get that, too. There's also years of study, the years of doing things, years of learning, years of making mistakes. Oh, do I make mistakes? I've learned from them. Years of learning from the mistakes of others. So now I think I've reached the point that I can guide you so that you do not make mistakes. At least not too many. I am Bernard Meltzer, and this is Talknet.
980 WRC.
Let me remind you, you are listening to Bernard Meltzer on Talknet. And thank you for joining and becoming part of my radio family. Our phone number, coast to coast, 1-800-223-4141. You are welcome to call. Good evening. Welcome aboard.
Hi, Dr. Meltzer.
Yes, friend.
I live in an apartment, and this month was going to be my last month.
Right.
And I paid the full month's rent, but I was supposed to only have paid half because I paid the other half back when I moved in here. And they won't give me my money. They won't reimburse me. I overpaid, and they refused to reimburse me the half of the money.
What state are you calling me from?
Florida.
Florida has a whole series of small claims courts.
So you think
every county in Florida has a small claims court. Go into the small claims court, swear out a complaint against the landlord, document your case, and you're rich.
Should I sue for punitive damages too, or just that?
Well, no. Stop this other business. Sue for what actual money it cost you, and you'll win.
Okay,
but when you start messing around with things that don't belong in there, you will not have the sympathy of the court, and you'll end up with no money.
Okay, so you think I'll win by going there?
Yep, I opened up my book of life experience, and it says this lady will win.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Bye-bye. Are you depressed because you've stumbled on life's road? Then take heart, because I've never known anyone who, at one time or another, has not stumbled along the road of life. Good evening, my friend. Welcome to Talknet.
Hello?
Yes, my friend. Hello? I'm looking for you. Hello? Are you listening on the radio, my friend?
Hello?
A question. Have you turned your radio down? Are you hearing what I'm saying? I think we have to take another caller. I regret, but something's happened to that caller. Good evening, my friend. Welcome to Talknet.
Good evening.
Good evening, my friend.
Good evening, Doctor.
Hiya.
How are you?
Tonight, I'm doing very well.
Such a pleasure talking to you.
You know why? Because nice people like you are on the program.
Thank you. My husband and I listen to you every Saturday and Sunday.
Good for you. Where are you calling from?
From Massachusetts.
What part?
Chelmsford.
Near Boston?
Yeah. We're about 30 miles from Boston.
That's all I want to know, because Boston is one fine town.
Yes, it certainly is.
I almost went to school there, but they caught on to me. They threw me out.
I wish you'd come around and give a little talk around here so we can visit you.
Someday I'll do that. Someday, when I get myself freed up from a lot of things I'm doing now.
That sounds great.
What can I do for you?
Well, I want to ask you about Treasury notes.
Yeah.
I have some that are due the end of this month.
Right.
And I'm trying to decide whether I should renew them or go into CDs.
I would say stay with Treasury notes.
Uh-huh.
I like Treasury notes better, but many people don't know how to invest in Treasury notes. That's the problem.
Yeah.
But Treasury notes, by the way, are a direct obligation.
Yes.
Of Uncle Sam.
Uh-huh.
It's the safest investment in the world.
Yeah.
Treasury notes, Treasury bills, and Treasury bonds.
Uh-huh.
But Treasury insured CDs are also very, very safe, but there's only one remove because once FDIC or FSLIC cannot pay, they have to go to the Treasury for money.
Uh-huh.
So it's not quite as safe, but it's very safe. In other words, the Treasury notes are 1,000 on a scale of 1 to 1,000. Then CDs are 999.
Uh-huh.
Very safe.
Yeah. What do you think? You think the FSLIC is going to have any trouble?
Well, it may, because the Controller General, Office of the Controller General, came out the other day and said, as far as he's concerned, FCC is down the drain. But what he meant, FCC will need help from Uncle Sam.
Uh-huh.
But I'll tell you one thing. Uncle Sam will never let FSLIC get in trouble as far as money goes for people under $100,000. So the answer is smile, go to sleep tonight if you're insured by FSLIC, and I don't think you'll ever lose a penny.
So you think I'll stick with my Treasury notes then?
Yep, stick with your Treasury notes.
Okay.
Good night.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Bye. Good evening, my friend. You're listening to Bernard Meltzer. Now, I'm Bernard Meltzer, I should say, and this is Talknet. One of the advantages that I have over other talk shows is that in addition to a lot of book knowledge, my answer is very often based upon extensive life experience. And I tell you that nothing equals the knowledge that comes from life experience. And nothing can match the wisdom that comes from life experience. Book knowledge and life experience together are the answer. Good evening, my friend. I welcome you to Talknet.
Yes. I'm calling about a piece of property that my brother and I own.
Right.
My husband and my name is on it. My brother and his wife's name is on the deed.
Okay. Four people own the property.
Pardon?
4 people own the property.
Yes.
Now, a question.
It's his wife passed away in November.
Right.
And we're wondering what the situation is now for ownership, or if anything should happen to either one of us.
Now, no problem on the ownership. When his wife passed away, he automatically became the owner of her share. And therefore, he owns the property, half of the property now.
And I'm sorry I didn't get all that. I'm a little hard of hearing.
When his wife passed away, automatically he became the owner of her share. Therefore, he owns half of the property now.
All right. Okay, but now...
Is that all you want?
He still owns his half.
He owns his half, and you own your half.
All right. Now, if my husband or I should die, we would still have the ownership in halves, wouldn't we?
Again, that's true.
What we're wondering about is what the situation would be with our children. He has 1 daughter, we have 3 children.
Well, you see, it depends what the deed reads. If the deed can be changed to read the rights to survivorship, then, of course, automatically his share would go to you. On the other hand, if it's just the 2 of you own it in common, and therefore his half will go to his estate. He can will it, he can sell it, he can do anything he wants with it.
All right.
Okay?
Okay, but if he should pass away now, would his daughter get her share?
In other words, if he makes a will, the answer is yes.
Uh-huh. But there should be a will.
Right.
All right. Would it be better to have the children's names on it?
Well, no. If he wants to give his daughter the share, then he's got to leave a will leaving his share to the daughter.
All right.
Does he have any other children?
No, just the 1 daughter.
In that case, he better give it by will, even though by intestate it might go that way too.
Okay, now let me see. I think I had another question here.
Yeah.
Just a minute. Okay, we're senior citizens.
I've got plenty of time, don't worry.
Well, we're senior citizens.
Yeah.
Now, if we sell this piece of property, how are we affected by this on taxes?
Are you living in the property?
No.
Then you are affected like anybody else. The only time that you will get anything is if the property that you sold has been your principal residence for 3 of the last 5 years. Got that? This has not been true here. So you struck out, my friend. You know, usually there are 3 sides to an argument. Your side, of course, is important. Your opponent's side is not so important. But somewhere in between is the truth. Good evening, friend. You are on Talknet. Welcome.
Good evening.
Yes, friend.
Hello, Dr. Meltzer.
Hiya.
I have a question. I have a daughter of college age, and we're trying to evaluate the best college to send her to of those that she was accepted to. How do you go about finding out which is the best school if they're not Ivy League schools? And one person will tell you their daughter or son went there. And
well, no, wait a while. Your daughter is ready to go to college, right?
Yes.
Is there anything particular that she wants to study?
She's not sure. She wants to go for a liberal arts and
so
to start off.
Okay, therefore she wants a liberal arts college. And how do you evaluate it? Well, there are many books around that you can get a hold of that'll tell you something about the college. But basically, the question you want to ask is a very difficult one to evaluate, where somebody says to me, I'm buying a house in the XYZ city, how's the school district there? You know, that answer is almost impossible to give. You know that. Again, you ask somebody who's knowledgeable in education, they'll give you an opinion on what the college, how it ranks. But that doesn't mean it's any good or any bad.
Yeah.
There's really no special answer to your kind of question. There is none.
You know, because one of the reasons I'm asking is one of the colleges she's been accepted to is half as expensive as the other college she's been accepted.
All right, talk to me about it. Watch me get in trouble now.
No, I'm not going to tell you.
Name it. No, name it. Go ahead. Let's see what. If I don't want to answer it, I'll say I can't. I don't want to answer it.
You want me to give you names?
Okay, the college she's been accepted to, 2 of them. Give me the names.
Okay, one is Syracuse University and one is the University of Maryland.
Now Maryland's about half, right?
Right.
Well, of course, see, Syracuse is a private institution. It almost ranks with the Ivy Leagues. Maryland's an excellent school, except it's a state school. So I'm going to say to you, if money's important, go to Maryland. It's just as good as Syracuse. And Syracuse is just as good as Maryland. Okay?
Well, when you say it ranks with it almost ranks with an Ivy League.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Oh, don't ask me to give you an answer, because if I give you an answer, half my professor friends won't talk to me again. You understand that?
How does Penn State rank in there?
Penn State is very good. I would rank Penn State and Maryland about the same.
Penn State and Maryland about the same.
But Penn State has a better football team.
Yes, that I know.
You understand that?
But she's not a football player.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr.
Thank you, friend. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I am Bernard Meltzer. This is Talknet. Good evening. Hello.
Good evening, Uncle Bernard. This is Linda in Lakeland, Florida.
Lakeland, Florida, Linda.
Yeah. How's Aunt Phyllis doing?
How's the weather down there?
Oh, it's fine.
You sure of that?
Yeah, sure it's fine. I was just wondering when you people are ever going to get down here.
Well, you never invited me, Linda.
Well, I'll invite you. I have open house, and we'll prepare you and your wife a good meal. And
that's what I'm about to say. If we come down, I can get a free meal?
Yes.
Well,
fine.
You know why? Because the Bernard Meltzer law is for a free meal, you go anywhere.
Uh-huh. And bring Bernadette with. I've already invited her.
Oh, she eats too much. You don't want to.
Well,
oh, she'll eat you out of house and home.
Much.
You don't want to bring her along.
She's all right.
Okay, and we're warning you.
Yes, and I really appreciate hearing from you and everything. And I have a problem tonight.
What's your problem?
It's very disturbing.
What happened?
Okay. I wrote I have a subscription to a magazine in the state of Florida.
Right.
But the company still owes me issues, and they have not been sending me the copy.
How many issues do they owe you?
They owe me at least 5.
Have you written to them?
Yes, I have, and I gave them 7 days and wrote them a nice letter.
No. You are writing to a computer, Linda. You hear that?
I wrote to the man of the...
No, you didn't. You wrote to a computer. Computers are very important these days. They get rid of people.
Mm-hmm.
You understand that?
I usually call the man personally.
Yeah, but he doesn't bother with you. A computer is what you're writing to, Linda. So here's what I suggest you do. Keep writing, but it takes 3 months for the computer to wake up to what you're writing about.
You think I should send a
return
receipt requested letter?
No. I'm telling you, you can send a letter every moment. It still won't do any good because this magazine has a great big box known as the computer.
Mm-hmm, because it's a personal ad, and
So therefore, the computer takes 3 months to catch up to mail.
Yes.
So Linda, take it easy. Don't rush. Smile. Sit in the sun. And about 3 months from now, you'll be getting magazines.
I hope so. And Uncle Bernard, Dad is going to have his unveiling next Sunday.
Yeah.
You know, because he died from the Alzheimer's, and
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, in last May, and so he's going to be having it Sunday. So I hope you say a nice prayer for him.
Without a doubt, Linda. I'll tell you what we'll do. Bernadette, get Linda's name and phone number off the air, and we'll send a message. Okay?
Thank you, Uncle.
Thank you, Linda. Bye-bye. Good evening, my friend. Welcome to Talknet. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, my friend.
Yes, I'd like to ask a question if I could.
Sure.
I'm between a hard rock and a stone.
Why?
Well, I came to a state and I bought a new home.
Yeah.
Couple of years ago.
Right.
And it was a floodplain.
Right.
And they took it from a floodplain and made a development out of it.
Yep. The builder, in other words, built on a floodplain.
Right.
Okay.
And
your question
at the time of the closing, we didn't need flood insurance.
Right.
So 4 months later, boom, water comes in my windows.
Uh-huh.
Lost everything I had.
Right.
We fixed back up.
Now, I have a question. Number one, did the community issue a permit for that development? In other words, it was your building, was a permit issue for that building that the builder sold you?
I believe so.
Number two, were you aware when you bought that you were buying in a floodplain?
No.
You sure of that? Nobody told you?
Well, no. The realtor sold us the property. He had an office on site, one of the houses.
Well, you see, what I'm trying to tell you, a floodplain is a very significant piece of information for a piece of real estate. If that piece of real estate wasn't a floodplain, then the realtor, if he knew it, and the seller who knew it, the builder who knew it, was obligated to tell you about it. Because you had a right to change your mind. You understand?
Right.
But they didn't. I think you had the basis of a lawsuit against them.
Well, the thing of it was, I went and I had a lawsuit, and I got a lawyer. And
what happened?
I was a year and a half fighting it, and they put my lawyer in jail for income tax evasion. Now, all of a sudden, they
now you have no lawyer.
No, right, and they can't find a lawyer because the word's out on me. So they hauled me into court the 13th, and the lawyer withdrew. His firm wouldn't handle me, couldn't handle me. Mean about a lot of other cases.
My good friend, there's plenty of lawyers out there. What state are you calling from?
Oklahoma.
There are plenty of lawyers out in Oklahoma who will gladly take a case like this. Honestly, I mean it. I think you haven't looked hard enough. This is not a difficult case. This is a case, all you need is a good trial lawyer. You need a good trial lawyer who knows some real estate. And also you need somebody to go along with the lawyer, a good city planner.
How about a civil engineer?
Excellent. As an expert, sure.
Now, I got to go to court Friday in front of the judge,
But you have no lawyer.
Right.
So therefore, you get the case postponed.
Okay.
Understand?
I was supposed to go to court last Friday, and I didn't make it. I had a lawyer, and I got the elevator. It was too late, and the judge wanted to throw the gavel 30 days if I don't have a lawyer, and the lawyers are outside the courtroom, and I lose everything I got.
My good friend, you go in before all this starts, and you talk to the clerk, the lawyer's clerk, and tell him exactly your lawyer withdrew, and you need more time to get a lawyer. That's all you do. But notify the court before you step in there and put them on, let's say, get the judge angry. Thank you, my friend. A cynic once observed when he said this, all has been said and done. He said he means by that it's the taxpayer who had it all said and done to him. I didn't do very well on that one. Next time I better read it straight. I'm Bernard Meltzer, and this is Talknet. Good evening. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. I'm so happy to have a chance to talk to you.
Well, I'm even more happy to talk to a nice lady like you.
I've been trying to get a hold of you for weeks.
Oh, thanks. What can I do to help you?
Well, this is a very timely question as far as I'm concerned, and I'm really not sure which way to go on it. But
all right.
I have been looking for a house. I'm a single parent, and I had been looking for a house for several months, and then made a contract on a home in December.
You signed a contract?
I signed a contract, and then I had to go, and of course, to the lending institution to
get a mortgage.
To get a mortgage on it, and as it was supposed to be, the house was for $118,000.
That's what you paid for it?
Well, that's what I was supposed to pay for it. I got out of that contract, but I'll explain that to you in a sec.
Right.
It had a first mortgage of $80,000 with a second mortgage of $38,000 equity carried back as a second mortgage.
Yeah, so therefore you weren't buying it for no cash.
Right. I thought I had a great deal.
Well, any deal you can get for no cash is a great deal.
Well, but what I found out before we went to settlement on it, I was approved for it.
Right.
I found out that the house was appraised for a lot less than the house was the asking price for the house. Because the contract had expired, because it took them a long time.
What was it appraised for?
It was appraised for $104,000.
Well, you've learned one thing about buying houses without cash.
What's that?
Usually they're overpriced.
Oh, yeah, I found, in the meantime, while I was waiting, for the approval, and the contract had expired, I found another house. The seller was asking $129,000 for it. It's a terrific house. It's a older home in what they call a historic area.
Right.
Has twice the space, very soundly constructed. It's an older home, but it's a great house and a tremendous value. Because I had been approved at this lending institution for $118,000,
right,
I offered the seller the same amount for the house.
And what happened?
He accepted.
So now you have a contract.
I have a contract.
So where's your problem?
You won't believe it. I even gave him $2,000 down. This is a great house. Friday, the same lending institution refused the loan.
So what?
Well, they said that they didn't really have a reason.
Why did they refuse it?
Well, they didn't really have a reason. I had some problems, some credit problems, but they knew about it.
So why don't you go with a... No, I think what they did, by that time, they were getting tired of what you were doing.
No.
No, wait a minute. I'm putting on my old mortgage officer's hat. But there are other lending institutions out there who probably gladly will give you a mortgage.
You think so?
Of course.
Well, they didn't tell me that this first house was about to go into foreclosure. I just found that out the other day.
All right.
And that they did not tell me that, and that the payments were in arrears. One of the things the banker said when I talked to him is that he says, well, even though it was the same amount of money, that the first mortgage was larger than the first mortgage on the first.
Well, no, you are getting what I call reasons that don't make sense. If the property you bought for $118,000 is worth $118,000, you should be able to get yourself a 80% mortgage without any doubt at all. Go ahead. There you are. You know, a very funny thing about life. The other day, somebody said to me, a politician is someone who approaches problems with an open mind. I should say with an open mouth and a closed mind. Thank you, by the way, for your friend Bernard Meltzer, for being part of our radio family. I wish you would think of me as a friend to lean on when you need help, when the world's kind of closing in on you, when you are depressed, when you need answers, because I will try very, very hard to be your friend. And all of you out there, let me tell you this. Thanks a bunch for the nice things you say, for the nice things your nice letters. Our phone number, coast to coast, toll free. Give me a call. 1-800-223-4141. I'm Bernard Meltzer, and this is Talknet.
RC.
Someone you know who will always be there. Tune in, turn on, Talknet. We care.
Good evening, my friend. Welcome to Talknet. I am Bernard Meltzer, your weekend host on Talknet, and thank you for joining me here tonight. I hope to make this night a very pleasant night for you. One that, let's say, you'll end the night a little smarter than we began the night. Our program brings you real drama by real people about real problems. A program of goodwill for people of goodwill. Our coast-to-coast toll-free number is 1-800-223-4141. 1-800-223-4141. I am Bernard Meltzer, and this is Talknet. You know, this week, if my mother of blessed memory were alive, it would be her birthday. I start the sorrow with a tribute to my mother. God gave me a wonderful mother, a mother who always did love me, even though there were times I was not worthy of that love. The good Lord molded her heart with golden sunshine, and her smile with the warmth of a summer eve. Her eyes glowed like two shining stars, and her face radiated with the light of the noonday sun. Her soul was borrowed from the angels on high, and these Almighty God fashioned with his wonders of his creation. And when his handiwork was done, even the angels in heaven acknowledged this was the greatest of God's miracles. He called this miracle of creation Mother. And then the Lord followed with another one of his miracles. He gave this mother to me, a tribute to my mother on this Sunday night. Welcome, friend. Welcome to Talknet.
Good evening, Dr. Meltzer.
How you doing?
Well, pretty good. I had a question, though.
Right.
With regard to a telephone solicitation that my wife received last week.
What were they soliciting?
They were soliciting a reduced rate on hotels or motels in Florida.
Right.
We plan to go to Florida later this year. So she signed up by using her Visa card for $120, which would entitle her to a certain number of days or nights at a motel in Florida.
Right.
I don't think it's a very good deal. So my question is, since it was put on a credit card, is it possible for me to cancel this?
My question to you is, my good friend, why did you give a stranger your credit card number?
Well, she did. I did not.
Why did she do it?
I wish I knew. I do not know the answer.
When somebody's soliciting on a phone, you've got to do it arm's length.
Right.
And for you to give them, at that point, your credit card number, you don't know what they are going to do with it.
I agree.
And the answer is, you can rest assured they've already collected the money.
But can I not refuse it if I write to the...
On what basis?
Well, I'm not sure. That's what my question
is. Also, I'm not even sure what you got. I suspect when you get down there, you're going to go through time-sharing or vacation lot lectures.
Yes. Okay, so that basically what you're saying is that even though this was, a contract solicited by phone, that if I wrote to the credit card company and told them I would not pay that bill, that
they would ignore you.
Is that right?
Because now they've got your numbers already gone in. I would say right now, by this time, the company has already gotten the money.
Yep. Okay.
And I'm sorry, your wife is going to have to learn a lesson.
Okay.
My radio family, you never give anybody that you don't know your credit card number. Please don't do it.
I'll transfer that information, Dr. Meltzer. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Good evening, friend. Welcome to Talknet. Welcome.
Dr. Meltzer?
Yes, friend.
How are you this evening?
We are doing well.
Perhaps you can help me.
Okay, tell me about it.
My wife just got a notice to appear in small claims court.
Yep.
This is from a dentist that she saw.
Right.
And they're claiming that we still owe them $48.
Okay.
Here's how it happened. In November of '82, she went to this dentist. It was a referral, and she was to receive an exam, which was $25. And the girl there at their office said, right, we have to have an exam. We didn't have insurance at the time.
Right.
And she said it was $25.
Right.
So when my wife got done seeing the dentist, he was doing the picking around in her teeth and so forth. We received a bill. They said it was $75. Well, we paid them the $25. And we said, we asked you when we came in. And it was our understanding it was $25. And they said, yes, but while we were working on her, we adjusted something in there.
Well,
adjusted the bite.
That sounds to me a little bit phony. But did you answer this by telephone, or did you write and have a copy of the letter you wrote?
Well, we initially contacted them by phone and tried to tell them that, we sent a money order for $25.
All right, and they said they want $75. What happened after that?
That's right. Well, we called them back, and they took the call, but didn't, it didn't say okay or didn't say not okay. We didn't hear from them after that, and we did not contact them.
Right.
Well, a few months ago, we got a bill from them.
They turned it over to collection agency.
Right.
And now you're being taken to small claims court.
Right. Last week, we just got an affidavit for small claims court.
Well,
I have a few questions about that.
Go ahead.
Here they are. Number one, I realize we can go to small claims court and contest it and may win or lose. And my question is, at this point, could this affect our credit rating, which is unblemished totally so far? And they're also suing for court costs. If I went to court and contested it and lost, I have no idea what that would be.
Very minor. In small claims court, it usually is somewhere around $5, $6, $7, $8.
Oh, that's relieving. And what would happen, I wonder, if we didn't show? I guess you
They automatically would get a judgment against you.
I see.
Here's what I want you to do, my friend. First of all, I want to preach to you and my radio family. You never rip out the telephone in this situation, because right now, if this gentleman had copies of letters that he wrote in 1982, where he notified the dentist that he only owed him $25 and not $75 and explained why, he would win the case automatically. But he doesn't have that. So my good suggestion, my radio family, you must learn to write. And if you can't write, go back to school. But problems like this are handled by writing, not by telephone. Number two, you will go into small claims court and you'll tell them exactly what you just told me, and based upon what I do know, you should prevail. You understand?
Yes, I do.
And also, I think the dentist is that did this to you, on the basis on which they did it, I think should be censured.
And would this affect our credit rating in some way? I mean, I don't know if they report
I don't know.
I
don't know what to tell you with this. It may or may not, because these collection agencies very often are SOBs. They send through to the credit reporting companies a history of this transaction and tell them you're a slow payer. They do it very often. And you may have to go to court to have this removed out of your credit report.
Huh.
But let me tell you this. When you deal with people like your dentist, you've got to stay away from them. Don't go near them. And also, when you deal with people like your dentist, you write it down. You answer it. Because now you have a history in writing of what happened, what was said, and what your answer was.
Well, he caught us by surprise. You know, the principle of the thing is what's really bothering us. As much, you know, it's a relatively small amount. And I didn't know if
I tell you what you do. You cause him as much trouble as he's causing you. After this thing is over, you file a complaint with the dental licensing group in your state, the group that licenses dentists, the department, and ask for a hearing. Cause him as much problem as he's causing you.
Well, if my wife does not work, I wonder, could he guarantee my wages to pay this for work he did on her?
Nope. The complaint, by the way, who does it name?
It names only my wife.
That's right. So therefore, they can't guarantee your wages.
Well, listen, you've been a big help.
Thanks, friend.
I appreciate that.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I am Bernard Meltzer, and this is Talknet.
And now it's time to return to more of your telephone calls and discussion with your host, Bernard Meltzer, on 980 AM WRC.
Yes, our program toll-free coast to coast. And pick up the phone and call Bernard Meltzer is 1-800-223-4141. This program is a combination of human interest and drama, information, affairs of the heart, affairs of the pocketbook, affairs of the spirit. You learn as you listen. You learn as you're being entertained. Good evening, my friend. Welcome to Talknet.
Dr. Meltzer, could you give me an opinion on single premium whole life insurance?
All right, I'll give you first a general opinion and say the new tax law has made it a very attractive investment, okay? But it's being oversold in many cases. Is somebody trying to sell you a single premium life?
Well, I have about $20,000. I'm thinking about either mutual funds or single premium.
Or something else?
Yes, sir.
How old are you, friend?
55.
And you want to put $20,000 away in a single premium life?
Well, I'm considering that, and I just wanted your opinion.
It might be a decent investment. What do they promise you as investment return the first year?
The thing that they'll guarantee is 4%.
Yeah, that's the bottom line.
Well, they say right now it's paying 7.25. And they'll guarantee that for the first year. But after that, they won't guarantee more than 4%.
Well, most single premium life situations that I know today are paying closer to 9% for the first year. Number two, suppose you want to get out. What does it cost you?
Well, that's a question that I haven't talked person to person. All I have is a printout.
No, that's a very important question.
Well, that's one thing I want to ask them. If I want to get out after the first year, I think there's about a 7 or 8%, I guess, fee or cost, and then it reduces 1% per year for the first 6 years.
Yeah, but maybe you want to get out earlier. The next question is, what's the charge that goes with it? In other words, the management's charge that goes with it.
Well, that's a question I want to ask them, too.
So right now, until you, there are a lot of other questions I'd like to ask you, but I'm pretty sure you don't know any of them.
No, sir.
So therefore, I'm not in a position to give you advice and counsel on single premium life, the one that you're considering. You understand?
Yes.
Single premium life is no fixed concept. Various companies pay different and different terms. But generally, under the new tax law, it is advantageous to invest in single premium life, but not all the time. Sometimes it's not.
When you're thinking in terms, either that or mutual funds.
Well, why mutual funds? Why?
Well,
where's your money now?
Well, I don't have it at this moment. I'm selling a house, and I'm going to have that much out of the equity.
A question. You are 55,
yes.
Right? What's your income?
About $40,000
a year. And what's all your assets? Stocks, bonds, bank accounts. What do they add up to?
About another 150.
So therefore, it might be mutual funds. Might be a good investment for you. Because the reason why I say that, my radio family, so you can understand it, this gentleman tells me he's got $150,000 of capital. If he said I have 40,000 or 30, I would say no. 20,000 mutual funds is too much. But 20,000 mutual in his capital setup will give him a good distribution. Thanks, friend. Good evening. Are you there? Welcome.
Yes, I am.
Welcome, my friend.
Doctor, something I've never heard discussed before, and maybe I'm stupid to even ask it. But I was wondering, in the event, in stressing treasury notes, bills, bonds, and so on,
Right.
you have that stuff in your safety deposit box.
Right.
Okay, and the banks fold up. Now, will you be able to get in there and get the things?
Of course.
Oh, will you?
That's happened a number of times before.
Okay.
Where then, of course, in a day or two, you get access to your safe deposit box.
Even though the bank is folded, closed, and all,
No. The bank
still
just
have
can't.
access.
No. See, in today's setup, a bank can't fold and close because every bank that I know of, not every bank, most banks have either FDIC or FSLIC in back of them. Okay?
Yeah.
So therefore, if the bank is in trouble and they're closed by FDIC, usually what happens, FDIC arranges for them to be merged with another bank. And therefore, all you know is, as of Monday morning, the bank that was the First National Bank now is merged with the Second National Bank, and you go in and get your money. On the other hand, if FDIC or FSLIC wants to liquidate it, because the assets are in that kind of condition, they will, but you go in there, and everything up to $100,000, they'll give you a check. You got that?
Yeah. Maybe we're not making sense, but I mean, this is in the safety deposit box.
And a safety deposit box is a service to the bank.
Right.
And therefore, the moment, no matter what happens, the next day you'll find that you can get into the safe deposit box.
That's all I wanted to know.
Yeah. Nobody will keep you out of your safe deposit box.
That's good. That's what I wanted to know.
All you may have is a day or two of not being able to get in.
Uh-huh.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, sir.
Bye-bye. Good evening. You're listening to Bernard Meltzer here on Talknet. Welcome aboard. Are you there? Hello. Yes, my friend. Hello?
Dr. Meltzer.
I found you. I was looking for you. I didn't know where you were.
Well, I'm right here.
I thought you were holding hands with Bernadette.
My question.
Yes.
I bought a house in 1965.
Right.
I paid $31,000 for it.
Right.
The house now, in 1987, is worth $265,000.
Right.
I am over 55. Obviously, I've lived in the house 3 out of the last 5 years.
Right. Your question then, my good friend?
Okay. I have put, initially, my purchase price of the house was $31,000. I have put approximately $25,000 into it.
Right.
So that would bring it up to 56.
All right. Your question then?
Is if I sell the house, age 55, take the $125,000.
I tell you what I have to do. Stay put. I have to break for 2 minutes. I'll be back. Don't you go away. In radio, we live by the clock. I'm Bernard Meltzer, and this is Talknet. Good evening, my friend. You're listening to Bernard Meltzer here on Talknet. Our coast-to-coast toll-free number is 1-800-223-4141. Sig, we're talking to a gentleman about capital gains on his house. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
What is your question? I still haven't gotten around to it.
No, question is, bought house back in 1965.
I know it, yeah, but what do you want to know?
What I want to know is what my obligation is on the capital gains under the new
your
tax
capital
law.
Obligation is as follows. Number one, the price you paid. Add to the price the money you put in capital improvements.
Yes.
Plus $125,000, and that is subtracted from your capital gains, if any. There's how do you figure your capital gains? Got that?
Well, say capital gains is 100. What is that? 28%.
There is no such thing as capital gains anymore in 87 on. As of 86, capital gains stop.
Right.
Whatever you have right now will be reported as income.
Okay.
Okay. And after 88, the top bracket will be 28%. You're right. Thanks, friend.
Thank you.
Keep in mind this. A person who's completely wrapped up in themselves makes a very, very, very small package, which is true. Good evening, your friend, Bernard Meltzer. Welcome.
Good evening, Dr. Meltzer.
Hiya.
Recently, my husband passed away.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get some information on what to do about my mortgage.
All right.
Now, I owe approximately $23,000 in mortgage. And we paid on it for 8 years, and it's a 30-year mortgage.
Right.
And the interest is 10%.
Right.
Now, recently, I received a payoff on some property that we were holding, and it came to $22,000.
All right.
I wonder if it would be your opinion for me to pay off this mortgage.
If you have the money and you can spare it, pay it off.
Pay it off. The reason I say is because I put it in a time deposit receipt account, and it's only paying me 5.7%.
And even if the interest rate wasn't running in your favor, I would still say pay off the mortgage, because at your age, it's nice to have a mortgage-free house if you can pay it off and spare the money.
I'm only 49.
Okay, you're getting on to 50.
I know.
And it's nice to have a mortgage-free house at any age, by the way.
And also, sir, I have some insurance money that came from my husband's death, and I have it in a simple savings account.
Right.
It was suggested to me to put it into long-term CDs through the Federal Credit Union. Is this...
well, yeah, if the interest rate is right, a Federal Credit Union is insured.
Yes.
So therefore I say, go ahead.
All right.
Thank you.
I thank you very much.
Okay. Good evening, my friend. Welcome to Talknet. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, my friend.
Hi. I've been audited by the IRS for the past 3 years, and I owe them $10,000. And my CPA, when I first approached him, which was about a year ago, he said, "Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it." Well, then they sent me a letter through the mail telling me that he didn't show up. Now I owe them to come up with the $10,000. So anyhow, then I call them back and set another appointment. I call him, set another appointment, and then he still doesn't show up the second time. So now they tell me, "Well, you owe it." Can I hold him partly responsible for
well,
that?
first of all, the letters were addressed to you.
Yes.
You should have showed up. Your CPA, of course, would have showed up to reinforce you. But if your CPA said, "I will take care of it," I will show up, and didn't show up, you can charge him with professional incompetence.
Yeah.
Professional malpractice.
So do you think it's possible that I could take him to court?
It's quite possible, depending on the facts.
Yeah.
Thanks. I am Bernard Meltzer, and this is Talknet. Welcome, my friend, to Bernard Meltzer and Talknet. Our phone number coast to coast is 1-800-223-4141. Very often people say to me, "Bernard Meltzer, what shall we call you?" The answer to that question is rather easy. Let me tell you what I prefer. I would be honored if you would call me friend. I like that title best of all, but if you want to be more formal, you can say Captain Bernard Meltzer, Mr. Bernard Meltzer, Dr. Bernard Meltzer. All these titles have been earned by hard work, discipline, study, and service. Good evening. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome aboard.
Dr. Bernard Meltzer.
That's Bernard Meltzer, Meltzer.
And Meltzer. Okay, listen, my husband is 67 years old. He's retired.
Yeah.
And he
How
has
old are you?
Social Security check. And we also have money in a checking account, about $50,000, and we have $30,000 in IRA. Now, the checking account is paying 5.25%.
Right.
We want to know if we should leave it. We live on the interest, and we want to know if we should leave it there or buy mutual funds.
Mutual funds will give you more. Even a government bond will give you more. A municipal bonds will give you more. Ginnie Mae will give you more. So I would say go in for a combination of them, but lead about about a half of it, at least a quarter or a third, in the bank CDs. Okay?
Leave a third of it in the bank CD?
Right, because you have to have something that is absolutely safe and liquid.
Yeah. And the other stuff, though, isn't it a little risky?
Well, if you go into about another quarter for high-grade AAA mutual bonds, municipal bonds, that's not too risky. If you go in for a good, solid money market fund, it's not risky. If you go into a good mutual fund, it's a little bit risk, but not too great. Thank you. Good evening, my friend. Welcome to Talknet. Are you there?
Hello?
Yes, friend.
Dr. Meltzer?
Yes, friend.
Well, thank God. I'm glad to talk to you. We have a problem, and we need a little information.
What's that?
We gave our son funds to buy United States Treasury bonds for us.
Right.
He bought them using his own Social Security number.
So therefore, he's paying taxes on them.
Well,
in whose name are they?
In his name and his Social Security number.
Therefore, he owns them. It's his money.
Well, after he bought them, he mailed them to us.
For what?
Because it's for our money. He bought them for us.
Yeah, but his name is on it.
That's the error. He made a mistake.
You better have it changed in a hurry, honey, because it's his money.
Yeah.
It's not your money.
It is no longer our money.
No, it's no longer your money. In fact, for him to change it, to put it back in your name, it goes through as if he sold it to you. Get to the Federal Reserve Bank and get this thing straightened out in a hurry.
Oh. Does he have to get back to the agent who sold it to him?
He has to go back.
Would you recommend that?
He has to go back to somebody who sold it to him to get the ownership changed.
And is it possible to do that?
Yep.
Oh.
Thank you.
And that's what corrected.
Yep. Thanks, honey. Good evening, my friend. Welcome to Talknet.
Good evening.
Hiya.
Hi. I need somebody to talk to who does not have an axe to grind. Every time I talk to somebody,
okay.
they want to sell me their own little instrument.
Talk to me.
I'm retired. I just retired a year ago.
Right.
I have an annuity that's worth around $40,000. The insurance company wants to annuitize it, and I don't want to get caught in a trap where they'll keep the proceeds, keep the balance if I should pass away first.
Let me find out what you're talking about. There's $40,000 coming, what, out of a pension fund, out of profit sharing, or what?
And
a guardian has been appointed?
Right.
By the court?
Right.
Who is it, the guardian? You?
My mom.
Your mom. Go ahead.
I would like to find out about the estate or about the trust fund without going through her.
Well, you can't. First of all, how do you know there's a trust fund?
Well, because my mom told me.
In that case, what you see, that trust fund could be changed several times if the person recovers, number one. Number two, see, the person involved has not been declared incompetent, have they?
Yes, they have.
All right. Now, who has the papers for the trust fund?
My mom.
And therefore, she doesn't want to give it to you? There's no giving.
All right. Okay.
And there's nothing you can do to get it.
Can she alter what is in the trust fund?
Probably not.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Thank you, friend.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good evening. Welcome to Talknet. Are you there?
Hello, Dr. Meltzer.
Hello, my friend.
This is my first time calling you. I enjoy your program very much.
Yeah.
I'm calling about a 20-year payment life insurance policy. My husband and I each took out $1,000 life insurance policy several years ago. It's
Right.
probably been paid up for 14 years now or so.
Right.
And I was wondering, the money's sitting there, no interest or anything. Is it wise to try to cash that in, or how much would you
How
get?
much money is the face amount of the policy?
Only $1,000 each.
What's the cash surrender value?
Well, I don't know what you mean.
Otherwise, if you turn the policy in right now,
I don't know. That's what I don't know.
probably on a 20-payment life, I would probably say it was uneconomical
Just to leave it there.
to
then.
leave it there.
That's what I was wondering.
But what I wanted to know from you, which you didn't give me, is the cash surrender value. If you gave me that number, I'd give you an answer.
Mm-hmm. Well,
But probably I would say, for what I know in general, turn it in.
Turn it in?
Yep, for cash. Turn it in, get cash, put it away in another investment.
Okay, what do you do? Just write the home office and tell them you want to cash in the policy?
Yep, of course. That's exactly the way to do it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
There's an old Chinese proverb that says, "'Tis glorious to ride a tiger, but remember this. There always comes a time when you must dismount." The Chinese were very smart, weren't they? I agree on that. There's a lot of book knowledge, of course, in my answers. Lots of book knowledge. There's also a lot of life experience in my answers. There's also many years of study. There's also many years of doing things. There's also many years of learning. And I also will tell you there's many years of making mistakes on my part and also watching others make mistakes. All this adds up to one thing. By now, I think I've reached the point so that I can guide you so that you, yes, you, do not make mistakes. Our toll-free number, coast to coast, let me give it to you right now, and you are welcome to call. 1-800-223-4141. That's 1-800-223-4141. As the two little tag-alongs followed after wherever she went, they were always there, hanging on to her skirts, running before her, running after her. They were a clinging pair. Don't you ever get weary, I asked, as day after day your two little tag-alongs tag after you? She smiled as she shook her pretty little head. Not really, she said, because I love my two little tag-alongs. They tag after me, they go where I go, they run when I run, they laugh when I laugh, they hum when I hum. Remember, she added, my two little tag-alongs are the light of my life. 'Tis then I quickly understood why her eyes were so full of laughter, as with a gentle good morning, she quickly disappeared, followed by her two little tag-alongs. My friend, you are listening to Bernard Meltzer on Talknet. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Okay.
Fantastic. I want to make one remark, and I have a question.
What's that?
On the remark on the Ivy League, the gentleman before,
yeah.
There are 8 colleges in the Ivy League, and they Brown, Columbia, Cornell, Dartmouth, Harvard, University of Pennsylvania, Princeton, and Yale. And they are called the Ivy League because of the ivy that covers the old buildings at the college.
Not quite. Not quite.
That's what it says in the American Heritage Dictionary.
Well, because many of those colleges have brand new buildings and no ivy. For example,
true.
I taught at the University of Pennsylvania for many years. The ivy is gone from there.
Oh, well, just so see, it's so called because of the ivy that covers the older college buildings.
Okay, anyway, when the dictionary says something, I bow low and say, yes, sir.
Okay, my question, Doctor.
What's that?
I just wrote a book, and it's on marketing, low-cost marketing, and it leans towards the smaller business people.
Right.
Okay. I just gave the manuscript a few weeks ago to a marketing firm. And
what happened?
They returned it back to me, and they said, with glowing reports, and they would like to know if I could include their name by way of recommendation somewhere in my text, or probably at the end of the text. And they also asked me if I would, after I give my seminars, the book's going to be released in the fall, and I'm going to be giving seminars throughout the states.
Yep.
And they asked me after my seminar, when people ask me, do I do consulting and whatnot, and naturally I won't have time to do the consulting because I'll be promoting the book. They asked me, would I recommend them after the seminar also? Now, my
good friend, have you ever published a book before?
No.
I don't want to kill your enthusiasm, but you don't make that kind of money when publishing a book.
Right.
Not a book on marketing, by the way.
Uh-huh.
And do you have a publisher?
Yes.
Who is going to publish it without you putting up any money?
Right.
Okay. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. But anyhow, my question is this. Should I, say, charge this marketing firm a retainer fee and a certain percentage of any accounts they get off of my recommendations, or what?
The answer is you better be careful before you even include their name as a recommendation, whether they are the kind of firm that you would like to recommend. You better investigate them first.
I have already done that.
And you like them?
Yes.
All right. Therefore, if you want to include their name, it's up to you. As a rule, if you have a vested interest, including their name, because they must pay you a percentage fee, that to me is a conflict of interest.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay. What I hear you saying is ask your lawyer.
It's something like that.
Okay.
Goodbye.
I want to thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. My friend, welcome to the program that helps you cope with life, with the problems of life. Good evening. Welcome to Talknet.
Hello.
Hello, friend.
I have a question to ask you about my contract I put down on the house.
Yeah.
I put down a $2,000 deposit, and I had the house inspected, and it failed inspection. And the seller of the home will not release my $2,000.
What does the contract say about a home inspection?
The contract states that if the house does not pass inspection, I can annul the contract.
And the seller will not give you back the money.
And the seller will not release the money, so the real estate company will not give me back my money until the seller releases or signs the release for my money.
And do you have an attorney?
I contacted an attorney, and I asked him to write a letter to the seller, and it's been 2 weeks, and he has not contacted me. And when I try to contact him...
You have the wrong attorney. And therefore, when you contact an attorney, all this was on the phone, right?
Yes, it was.
You never met the man or woman.
That's right.
This is no way to engage an attorney. I can tell the way you're talking about it. And also, I'll tell you one thing. When you engage an attorney, you don't tell him or her what to do. They tell you.
Right.
Now, let me tell you what's involved here.
Okay.
I'll put on my expert's hat in real estate. Get yourself an attorney.
Right.
Who will notify them that they either return the $2,000 or he will file a lawsuit putting a list pendants on the property, which means they cannot sell this until it goes to adjudication in the court. And that will turn the whole thing around. Of course, this may take a year or two. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, the seller has got to sit with a house that he can't sell.
Okay.
Okay? And also you include the real estate agent in your lawsuit because they're holding the deposit.
Right.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wish you would think of me as... Good evening, my friend. Welcome to Talknet.
Hello, Dr. Meltzer.
Hiya.
Yes, I have a problem which has been hindering me in getting employment, and I thought a man of your stature could help me solve that problem.
What's your problem?
Well, first of all, I'll tell you that I'm 61 years of age, and I've been working for a national company for the past 12 years, and they laid off 80 of us.
What have you been doing?
I've been a sales representative for a cigar company.
Okay.
And I've been traveling the state of Maine.
Okay.
And I'm looking for a manufacturer that is interested in placing a man in this area representing a consumer product line.
So therefore, why don't you contact those manufacturers?
I have been doing that, and I get interviews, but I believe that I have nothing to prove it, but I believe that they're just saying no to me because of my age.
Do you know any way that you can take 30 years off?
I wished I could. I don't look 61, and I don't act it, and I don't feel it.
The answer is a sales rep job should be easy to get. Because remember, usually on a sales rep, they don't pay you any money. It's all commission. You know that.
Well, the one that I had paid salary, commission, bonus, and company car, and I had that for about 12 years.
Yep, but right now, things are not the way they were.
Yes?
You could probably do better as a sales rep on commission only, and the age will not be held against you.
Yes?
And the chance of earning more money are even greater.
Yes?
In other words, you want a security of a job, of a weekly check.
Yes?
Sometimes you have to forego it, and I think you should forego it. I think you should walk in where sales rep, in other words, you know the periodicals that advertise for sales rep.
Yes?
You walk in there and you say, look, I'm the man for you to prove it. I don't want any salary. I want a commission, but I want a good commission for what I produce.
Yes?
When you talk that way, you'll get your job.
I see. Well, there are some of those jobs like what I had, and I was very happy with that, and I was making the company money. It's just that due to adverse business conditions, they decided to lay 8 years off.
But now you don't have the job.
Well, can't I find one of those?
Well, I don't. Apparently, you haven't been able to.
Well, isn't some company looking for a man of my caliber with the contacts that I have in all the
I don't know any. Do you know any?
No, but I thought possibly that you might have contact with some.
Why?
Well, you talk to all types of people on this program, and I thought, well, here's a man that has got connections and can possibly help me, or else someone on the radio airs may hear me talking and possibly get back to you, and then that you could get back to me.
See, you are very clever, my friend. That's why I think you should be on commission. See, what you've just told me, in effect, you've given a free ad for yourself on the radio, and I don't object to it at all. So I'm saying to you right now, where you stand at age 61, if you cannot get a job that pays a salary, get a job that pays a commission, and the kind of person you are, once you get over the fright of being on your own, that's what you're frightened about. I would suggest that probably you'll make double, triple, 4 times on commission that you do on a salary.
Do you know of any companies that have like carded items that I could take on my own and go out and just...
No, I don't. You'll have to find it yourself. I do not know that.
I see.
Thanks.
Okay, thanks so very much.
And give my regards to the state of Maine.
I certainly will, and I'll think of you every day I'm out there.
Do you have any snow up there now?
Yes, we have quite a bit.
How about skiing?
Pardon?
How about going skiing up in Maine?
Skiing is very good up at some of the ski areas is very good right now.
How about a dog sled, the snowshoes?
Well, I don't know too much about those.
You don't?
No.
Oh, I want to find out about it.
Do you ski?
I try skiing. I don't ski. I try skiing.
Well, I'm sure that they would give you a lesson up there.
Yeah, but I'm a little bit scared. One of my good friends who's classified as an expert in skis.
I see.
Came back last week with 2 broken ribs, and his face looked as if he'd been through a meat grinder.
Oh, my goodness.
He ran into 2 trees.
Oh, gosh. In Maine?
No, Vermont.
Oh.
But he tells me the trees in Maine are bigger, so therefore they hurt you more.
Well, I guess that's true.
Thanks, friend.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Today, why don't you try very, very hard to make someone happy? And so much the better if that someone turns out to be yourself. Good evening. Welcome, friend. I am Bernard Meltzer.
Hello, friend.
Welcome.
I heard you first time 2 weeks ago, and I feel you have a real gift of knowledge.
Thank you.
I've got some stamps, about 6 or 8 sheets from 1963. How do you tell the value of stamps? You just send a sheet in to somebody and let it approve?
You go to somebody who's an expert on stamps.
I see. Okay, my reason for calling is we have some lakefront property up north, and it's on a good lake, and we got about 800 feet, but about a quarter mile away, the fellow has about 1,500 feet with some marsh behind it.
Right.
And he's let it all erode, and so most of it's underwater now. So it's on a lake that I could bring a sand sucker in, but I'd have to pump about 50,000 yards of sand. What do you think the cost would be for that? And
well, before you get to cost, you got a bigger problem. You got an environmental problem. These days, marshland, the type you describe, cannot be altered.
well, there's 300 feet of lots in front of the marsh, and so we wouldn't
Well,
alter the marsh.
you'd better find out from the EPA people up, the environmental people, in the state that you're talking about, whether you can do what you want to do. Now, putting on my civil engineers hat to answer the second part, there was no answer. It depends what it costs to bring in the barge to suck up the sand.
Is that a feasible way of going about it? Because
It
the
might
people
be.
just let the land sit there.
And what's the land worth once you improve it?
Probably about $60 to $80 a foot.
And how many feet you have?
1,500.
It might be worth it.
Okay, then what type of offer could I make for the property? I'd like to go on.
Before you make an offer, find out if you can do it.
I would like to go into about a 3-year option with them.
You're not listening to me.
Okay.
Before you make any offer, find out if you're allowed to pump the sand. I suspect you're not. And if the answer is yes, then of course you got to get somebody to value the land, minus the cost of bringing land into dry land, minus the cost of buying it. Then you know whether you can do the deal or not. So you got several steps to take before you say yes or no.
But if I don't have some kind of agreement with him prior to doing all this, and once he finds out that I can do all this stuff and I show him the way, won't he just cut me out?
So what happens if you sign an agreement, then you find out you can't do any of it? You're obligated to buy it.
Well, I would just...
If you sign an agreement of sale with me, you're obligated to buy that property whether you like it or not.
No, I was just trying to get some kind of option to buy.
Option to buy if you want to buy, you sign a contract. And that's how you tie up a piece of property. Thanks.
Okay, you don't mess with the option to buy.
Options are more theoretical than they are real.
Right.
You understand?
Okay.
Now, of course, you've never bought real estate before. I can tell that the way you're talking to me.
Well, we have about 600 feet, about a quarter mile down from him. Only ours, we kept it up, and it's not underwater.
So therefore, what you do now is you go see him, tell him you're interested in the land. Does he want to sell? How much money does he want? Now you open negotiations that way. Once he gives you a figure, then you'll find out whether you can do it, whether it's feasible. That's how you do something like this. You understand that?
Okay.
Well, thank you. Good evening.
Hello?
Welcome to Talknet. Yes.
Yes, I have several questions regarding mutual funds of U.S. government securities.
Go ahead, fire away.
I understand the securities themselves are safe since the U.S. government, but since the fund is not insured, are you at any risk of losing any of your...
No. Get the U.S. government fund means the securities basically are full faith and credit of Uncle Sam.
Mm-hmm.
However, it doesn't mean that you will not lose capital. Because, in other words, these security funds, government security funds, pay. They boast 11, 10.5%, 11.5%.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how can they pay 11.5% when a government bond, which is supposed to be pays only about 7.5%? A government note pays only about 6.5%. A government bill pays only about 5.5%. Now, how can that be true if these securities are as safe as government notes and government bills and government bonds? And the answer is this. Yes, they do have government securities in those mutual funds, but they play around to bring it up. They invest in options. They play around with securities. They buy and sell. And also, the securities themselves have gone in. And something along this way. The reason why they can pay right now, claim 14%, now 11%, is because they have a government bond in there at 14%, which,
Right.
of course, will
mature
quickly. And one other thing. If you're talking about Ginnie Mae's comes in the same situation, they have mortgages behind them. The same thing. The mortgages right now, some of them might be 13, 14%, but they get refinanced very quickly. And also, the way they figure that 12, 13%, in a way is unfair. Because if they played around and made, let's say, $10,000 on an option, they are allowed to say that's part of the interest, the yield of that fund, which may not occur again for 10 years. Got that?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're talking about mutual funds, there's nothing wrong with mutual funds, but there's a lot of misrepresentation based on how they yield because they are not controlled. The advertising for them doesn't quite, the SEC is considering controlling the advertising, what they say, but right now they can get away with murder.
Yes, since the funds are not insured, I don't know if there's any danger of you losing your principal.
There's a danger of losing capital because right now you may buy the fund, let's say at $10 a share, and you want to cash it in, let's say 2 months from now, maybe down to $8 a share.
Yeah, I understand it would fluctuate according to the interest in the market.
That's right.
Well, do you think that this is not a good way for me to go then, since I'm having to live off my
No, I'm
savings?
not saying it's a good way to invest. But if you are thinking in terms of absolute security, safety, the answer is no.
Well, I'm a widow in her 60s having to live off my savings, and since the interest rates have gone down, I'm not getting enough interest, and I was looking for a better source, and mutual funds were suggested to
Well,
me.
you might consider putting some money in mutual funds. But I would say don't put all your money in mutual funds.
Uh-huh.
Also, you put some. The best investment right now, as far as I'm concerned, is triple tax-free mutuals, municipal bonds. You hear what I just said?
Triple tax-free mutual?
You can get over 7% in triple tax-free bonds today. And that's a tremendous return compared to other investments where you pay taxes on them, which are only in for 8% or 8.5%, whatever else it be.
I'm
Okay?
also confused about the sales charge on these funds. Is that the same as load?
Well, the reason why you're confused, you don't listen to Bernard Meltzer.
Well, I don't know if the sales charge is the same as a load.
Say it again.
Is sales charge the same as a load?
Is sales what?
Sales charge.
A sales charge is an upfront charge that's made by a mutual fund, which can range up to 8.5%.
Well, these were 3.5%.
So therefore, upfront, it's 3.5%. In other words, that's a charge taken out right at the beginning.
Right.
So if you give them $1,000, they don't invest $1,000. They only invest $967, whatever else it be.
Was that what they mean by load?
Yep. What else do you want to know?
Are these funds available without a load?
There are some mutual funds that are available without a load, but they have other built-in deficiencies. In other words, in life, you don't get something for nothing.
Yeah, right. I realize these people
Okay.
have to make a living. How can they stay in business if they don't charge you something?
That's why they won't recommend to you government bonds, for example, because the commission is so little, they can buy postage stamps for them.
Well, this is
That's
the
why they won't recommend, which I will recommend to you, look into E-bonds, double E-bonds. As an
Well, the
investment.
only funds they did recommend to me was government securities because of my situation.
Yeah, you know why? Because they get themselves 3.5% commission. But they won't recommend anything where there's no commission. That's why you have to weigh things and listen to a program like this, which gives you both sides of the story. Thanks. A canoe and a child, by the way, have this in common. Both behave best when paddled from the rear. Very good. I am Bernard Meltzer, and this is Talknet. My friend, welcome to the program that brings you human interest in drama, entertainment, and variety. Good evening, my friend. Welcome to Talknet.
Hello? Mr. Meltzer?
Yes, my friend.
I have a question about marketing.
Sure.
My husband and I are planning on starting a business of importing interior doors from Italy. And,
Why did you pick on doors? Do you know the door field?
well, my husband's a carpenter and a cabinet maker,
Right,
and he is from Italy.
right.
He's been here 14 years, and this is an idea that he's had since he did come to...
And what do you do with the doors?
Pardon me?
What will your hubby do with the doors?
We want to sell the doors.
Sell them what? In other words, are these interior doors?
Interior doors only.
Only, and why would I buy an interior door? I don't understand why. Are these kitchen cabinet doors? Are these doors to the bedroom or doors?
These are interior doors. They would be for bedrooms, for closets, and they're decorator doors, and they're
I
unique.
see. Well, of course, it's a very unusual situation. It probably has a very limited market for affluent people because these doors probably are very expensive.
Well, there's one door in particular that would be comparable in price with the door in the American market.
Right.
But these doors have they have three things that would be better than the American door.
What's that? What do they have?
One thing is that it has a double stop, it has a concealed margin, and have the pintle type hinge. And the doors
but
are all.
But the people who usually install doors are builders. Will you sell them to builders? Is that what you're going to do?
Well, that's
or will
what
you
I would
sell
like.
them to home improvement companies?
Mostly probably to builders, but that's why I'm calling you. We had tried selling to lumber yards, but they had wanted to buy the doors at such a low price that we couldn't afford to sell them to them.
Well, also, if you ever imported anything from a foreign country?
No.
See, the way you pay for it is a little bit different. You pay with money up front, and you pay with letters of credit. And usually you pay when the product is delivered to the dock in Italy. And you don't know what you're getting until it lands here, and you may be getting all kind of damaged doors.
Well, the manufacturer seems he's willing to work with us.
What is he willing to do?
So that we won't have to pay the money up front.
In other words, he's willing to finance it?
He was willing to come here and to put, let's say, a warehouse, and we would be the representative.
Good, let him do it. I doubt if he knows what he's doing.
Well,
and
it's a very large
And
firm.
also, it's not going to be your business if he does it. It's going to be his business. And you must understand, too, once you start getting international trade, you are subject to the fluctuations of the currency. In other words, what happens is, let's say you make a deal to buy 100 doors.
Yes.
While the dollar is, let's say, equivalent to 1,300 lira. But then the dollar drops down to 1,200 lira. Boy, all of a sudden you'll find that all the profit has gone out, and you may be losing before you even start.
Well, we figured all that.
Now, how can you figure that? How do you know where the currency is going?
Well, we figured it as high as $60 on top of, for the dollar exchange.
Now, if you figured that, why can't you sell it then to lumber yards? Apparently, you're telling me there's plenty of margin in there to play around with.
Yes,
but
there
all
is.
of a sudden, the lumber yard said you're too high.
So we should try to lower the price.
Well, I'm not trying to tell you yes or no because it's too complicated for me to judge as sitting here, but I was discussing some of the items that happen when you start going into a business involving international trade, import and export, and currency. In fact, I'll tell you one thing. I have a friend of mine who started up a business in Mexico, something like you're talking about. He started up about 4 years ago. No, about 6, 7 years ago, when the dollar was 8 pesos to the dollar. Now he's playing around with something like a couple of 100 pesos to the dollar. So what he was importing to this country from Mexico, all of a sudden, the ratio changed several 100%, and he's lost over $1 million. Not because the product is no good, it's because of international currency. I'm trying to make it tough for you, so don't get too discouraged.
Well, what do you think? The manufacturer is supposed to meet with us. He said he would be coming after Easter.
I would say yes, but bring in somebody who understands business, somebody who understands international finance, and somebody who understands this field. Otherwise, I'm afraid that manufacturer is so much smarter than your husband in many ways that it'll take you down the path.
Well, in our local area, there's a SBA, the Small Business
Administration. No, that won't help you.
No?
Not them. You've got to get somebody who understands this kind of business.
Well, what about the retired businessmen that do this as volunteers?
Again, you're shooting dice. Understand, you're getting SBA doesn't handle it. The retired businessman, you may get somebody who knows and somebody who just has this as a hobby because his wife chased him out of the house every day.
I understand.
Okay? Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. I'm Bernard Meltzer, and this is Talknet.
You're listening to Talknet in the nation's capital on 980 WRC. If you'd like to participate, the toll-free number is 800-223-4141.
I would be delighted if you would think of me as a trusted family member, as brother, uncle, cousin, yep, or maybe even as dad. You young people there, I'm old enough to be your dad. What am I trying to tell you? By now, I hope I've earned the privilege of being considered a trusted family member, your family. Good evening, my friend. You're listening to Bernard Meltzer on Talknet.
Okay, I'd like to ask you some information about a time property in Florida.
Oh, about what?
Timeshare property.
Oh, timeshare property, yeah.
Yes.
What about it?
Okay, I'm thinking about buying a week.
You're buying a week?
Yes.
And you've been down there?
Yes, I have.
Did you get the sales talk?
Yes.
Did you sign up?
Well, because I signed up at my bank. Well, I didn't have enough money to cover it.
No. Did you sign an agreement?
Yes, I did.
So therefore, they worked on you.
Yes.
In other words, the reason why I say that is because of some of these cases where they send out these notice, come get something free.
Right.
They get some tremendous results. 70, 80, 90% of the people go down to sign up because the pressure to sell is so great. The misrepresentation is so great. Anything you ask, the answer is always yes. You want my opinion on time sharing?
Yes, I would.
It's the worst investment you can make in real estate, without by far.
Okay, and why?
There are very few time sharing situations. There are maybe a few in the whole country where you can buy something and sell and not lose money. But in the typical time sharing, you cannot sell. And if you are able to sell, you take a tremendous loss. It's one of the most expensive vacations you can take in your life. And a lot of other things wrong with it.
Oh.
You have time to rescind?
I believe because I was supposed to.
No, I don't hear you. Get close to the phone.
Okay.
Do you have time to rescind?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
What are you paying for it?
Okay, well, it would be somewhere near 9,000, over 8,000.
Over 8,000, close to 9.
Right.
How much is it a month? Payments.
Okay, well, I was supposed to put down 1,000 deposit and then $149 per month for 7 years.
$1,000 down, $149 per month.
Yeah, for 7 years.
Therefore, at the end of the year, you've paid about $1,800.
Right.
Oh, wait a while. Just follow me, hon.
Okay.
When you do go down there for a week, how much do you pay maintenance for that week?
$259 annual.
$259. And now you're up to close to $2,100.
Right.
For a week's vacation, no food, no nothing. Isn't that an expensive vacation?
Yes, it is, but...
For what?
Okay, so you own it for life or, until ready to sell.
Well, honey, you will find in most cases, once these time-sharing situations, then there are exceptions to what I'm telling you, but most cases, after they get to be a couple of years old, you'll say to your hubby, do we have to go down there again?
Oh, but
we're sick and tired of going there. Next thing is you'll find that very often you cannot go away the week that you have.
No,
and they tell you can exchange with somebody else.
Right.
That's baloney.
Oh.
In other words, they don't guarantee any exchange. And then another thing you'll tell me, well, we can go to Caribbean.
Right.
We can go to Hawaii.
Right.
Baloney.
And they say
unless you've got a very unusual timeshare, the answer is no.
Okay, so what about the thing they say if you don't use it like this, you can save up the time or they'll help you,
What's that? What is that? What did you say?
Okay, you can save up the time. If I don't go this year or whenever, I can sell it to someone else.
Sell it to someone else?
They'll rent it out.
I'll tell you what you do right now, and this is the final situation. You're paying close to $9,000.
Right.
Get on the phone tomorrow morning and call a broker in that area and tell them a little white lie. Tell them I just bought this time-sharing, identify it, the time you bought it, and I paid $9,000 cash. I realize I need money.
Right.
What could you sell us for? And if the broker tells you that he can get you any more than $1,000, $2,000, notify me and I'll send you a T-shirt.
Okay. How would I be able to notify you?
You send it to the station that you're listening to right now.
Okay.
And I'll tell you one other thing, sweetheart.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you rescind real quick, you'll find that you cannot get out of this because they won't let you drop it. You'll have to keep paying that $150 a month, a month in, a month out. And again, I tell you, if you want to take a vacation, go where you want to go. Even if you have to pay $100 a day,
right,
it's still $700 for the vacation and not $2,100.
Okay.
Thanks, hon.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Let me remind you that often when you suppress a moment of anger, you prevent hours of sorrow and you gain a day of love and a day of affection. Good evening. You are listening to Bernard Meltzer.
Dr. Meltzer.
Yes, friend.
How are you doing this evening?
Welcome.
I thought I'd let you know I think your show is pretty good and very educational.
Thank you.
I have a question for you.
All right.
Okay, about 3 years ago, I started a small business, and I employed in another job. Okay, the business did not work out too good, and it folded. Okay, at the present time, I am applying for a federal job, and I understand they have a very thorough investigation on your background.
Right.
And I want to know if that business folding would affect. It did, because it did affect.
Did you go through Chapter 11 or Chapter 9?
A partnership cannot go through that.
Or well, you were a partnership.
Right, it was a partnership. I talked to a lawyer about it, and he said there was no way in the world we could go through a Chapter 11 or Chapter 9. I would, if I wanted to file bankruptcy or if I wanted to
Chapter
go that
13.
Excuse me?
Chapter 13.
Okay.
Did you go through that?
No, I didn't get any more information on that.
So what happened is you owe the money.
All right.
And what did your creditors do?
Well, okay, we voluntarily turned in our vehicles, and even though we voluntarily turn them in, it still goes down on your record as a repossession.
Okay, so what? That's not a crime.
Excuse me?
It's not a crime.
No, I understand. But see, what I'm saying is,
No, see, what I'm trying to find out, you said you went belly up.
Right.
It means you owed a lot of money.
Right. But not to the extent where it was that much hurt. It came to the point where we just couldn't run at all.
So therefore, you turned in the thing and just closed your door.
Well, right, because we had a major contract with a major company that was giving us a hard time on payments.
Okay.
They wouldn't pay us on time.
So therefore, you have what is called a civil catastrophe.
Right.
You reveal it in in the form you make out, and there's no penalty at all.
Right.
Where the problem comes in, if you tell a lie.
Right.
In other words, you've done nothing wrong. Many a businessman has gone under.
Right. So we went with the business, without using the SBA, and we could have continued it, but my partner was so far in debt, in his personal debt, that he didn't want to continue.
The answer is you will not be penalized if you qualify for the job if you reveal what you just told me.
Okay.
That's all.
That's all I needed to know.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. May I never judge my brother until I've walked many a mile in his moccasins. That's a translation. Good evening, friend. You're talking to Bernard Meltzer.
Oh, Mr. Meltzer.
Hiya.
Hi. I'm a 33-year-old housewife, and my husband's 58. And last year, the day before Thanksgiving, he fell and hurt himself.
All right.
And he hasn't been working since then.
Right.
Okay. And we have accrued about, I guess it's between $5,000 and $6,000 worth of medical bills.
Okay.
Plus all the bills that we had that was just, like our loan payment and different things that was just monthly bills.
Right.
Which we could afford before he had his accident. And now some of them are, starting to get really nasty, and and threatening us and all this. And
let me ask questions. Is your husband working at all now?
no, not right now.
What kind of work was he doing?
Warehouse work.
What is it? Will he be going back to work soon?
Yeah, he's supposed to.
And is he? How are you living on now?
Well, he gets. That was one of my questions I was going to ask you. He gets an Air Force retirement check, and one of my questions was if like the hospitals.
They cannot take the check away from you.
They can't.
Nope.
Because that's what we're living on now.
Nope, they cannot. Here's what I want you to do. Listen carefully, my friend. To each one of them, I want you to sit down and write a letter and say, we've fallen behind on our bills. I apologize and I regret it. But right now, my husband was hurt. Give him the story. He's not working. And the moment he goes back to work, I will notify you, and we will start making monthly payments. What do you think the estimate is? What does the doctor say?
Well, he's supposed to go back to work now. This is another one of the reasons I was calling you. He's supposed to go back to work next week.
So therefore, that's what you say now in the letter. My husband is due to return to work next week, and shortly after that, they'll start making monthly payments. That's what you do to every one of them.
Okay.
You understand that now?
Yeah. Now, everybody that we owe money to knows this.
Yeah, but you must do it in writing, and you must get copies of the letter. That's very important. Right now, you've been talking on the telephone. The telephone is no way to handle this. And once your husband does go back to work, start sending them small payments to each one of your creditors. This will protect you. You understand? Thank you. Our phone number, coast to coast, toll free, 1-800-223-4141. I am Bernard Meltzer, and this is Talknet. Got to start with a positive thought. It's a very special sale. So today I tell you I'm conducting a special sale. I'm getting rid of things I no longer need. They are piled outside my door, so please come take them away. As a start, I'm trying to get rid of a huge stock of prejudices that long ago I outgrew. Also, I'm offering a large assortment of ill will. These I offer as a bargain. You name the price. I'm also trying very hard to get rid of several job lots of bad faith and a collection of lies. Packed away in a corner is a very special trunk. It contains a collection of harsh words that I have on occasion used. I'm closing all this out in a special sale because I must make room for my growing inventory of kindness and charity, hope, courage, and good cheer. It must all be cleaned out. This rubbish must be gone. Make your selections. Please take them away. I no longer have use for them. They no longer clutter my soul. A special bargain sale. My friend, good evening. You're listening to Bernard Meltzer on Talknet.
Yes, Bernard.
Yes.
Got a question for you this evening, although it's more or less for something for you just to give me your opinion on, not necessarily a problem.
Okay.
I'm going to be, I should say, inheriting or getting willed a piece of property, a sizable amount of piece of property with a house on it for me and my wife to take possession of. Now, there's also, I guess I should say that it's coming from my parents.
Okay.
Okay, now, there's another house that my
Are you getting a gift, or are you getting it in the form of a will?
Well, this is what I want to ask. This is what let me explain it to you, and then you'll understand a little better. There's also another house on this piece of property that my parents are going to buy. And in turn...
Buy from you?
Well, no, is going to buy from the party that owns it. Okay? Then they're going to, and then what we're going to do is set up a bill of sale that I'm going to buy the piece of property that they now own with the house that's on the piece of property. That way, my two older brothers, necessarily can't come back and say that my mother and dad willed this piece of property to me without knowing what they were doing, or I've got it unfairly.
I'm a little confused.
Okay.
We start out with a piece of real estate. Who owns it now?
My mother and dad.
Your mother and dad owns this real estate, and what are they going to do, sell it to you?
They're going to sell it to me.
Okay. Now, once they sell it to you, what's this other piece of property? What's involved there?
Well, it's a piece of property that my brother owns. Okay, it's another house
that your brother owns.
That my brother owns.
So therefore, that can't be included.
No, it's not included. What they're going to do, he has now moved from that property.
Yeah.
And is renting that property out.
Right.
Now he wants to sell that piece of property.
Okay.
Now my mother and dad is going to buy that piece of property from him.
Okay.
And in turn, that's instead of them willing or me getting the piece of property that they now own as a gift, I'm going to buy that from that piece of property from them.
Why do you have to buy it?
Well,
your parents are allowed to give you that as a gift for $1 and love and other consideration?
Well, I know they can, but maybe it's because I've got a guilty conscience. Maybe I'm getting something more than my two brothers are getting.
Well, in that case, you have to property. Are they giving it to you at fair market value?
No. No, they're not.
Below fair market value. Well, they're allowed to do that.
Yeah.
No problem.
It's going to be set up on the terms that they want.
The only thing you have to avoid.
Okay.
Let's say the property is worth $100,000.
Well, it's worth much more than that.
Well, let's say it's worth $100,000.
Okay.
And you buy it for $50,000.
Mm-hmm.
The deed has got to read $50,000 cash and other additional consideration is love and affection.
Okay.
And that way they can't break it.
Okay.
In other words, their parents, in effect, say that when they say $50,000 plus other consideration, love and affection, they are saying, in effect, we now selling it to our son for less than fair market value.
Okay.
Because if it were the other way around, and that wasn't in there, they could come back after your parents are gone and say, look, you cheated. Because the property was worth $100,000 and you bought it for $50,000. And the parents thought they were getting fair market value. But when the agreement says is what I told you, then it's notice to the world.
Okay.
Okay, what else?
Well, that's what we're... Now, if we go this route, is that also get me away? Does that get me out of paying inheritance tax on the piece of property?
Well, you see, the problem is if it's a very valuable piece of property, your parents have a tax problem, because if they give it to you as a gift,
okay,
in effect, then of course they have a big tax problem. You better consult that with an accountant.
Okay. What we're dealing with is we're dealing with about a 65-acre farm. Is what we're dealing with.
How much money?
Pardon?
What's it worth?
It's worth well over $300,000.
In that case, you'd better get an accountant in to straighten your parents out so that Uncle Sam doesn't hit them for heavy gift taxes. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
You know, if you are the kind of person who never has anything nice to say about your friends, it means that either you're picking the wrong people for friends, or maybe it's you who's at fault. Maybe it's you who should mend your ways. Good evening. You're listening to Bernard Meltzer on Talknet.
Hello.
Hello, my friend.
How are you?
Okay.
My question is, I've got a wife who likes to buy a lot of clothes, and my comment to her is that you should only buy what you need, and yet she continues to buy them, and we're looking to buy a house. I think it's money kind of wasted, because she only really wears them once.
You're a married man, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
How long have you been married?
Going on year 3.
Year 3. Well, of course, there are some women who like to buy clothes more than they can afford, but that's a beautiful feminine trait.
Yeah.
And you may as well learn to live with it.
Well, you know...
My wife likes to buy a lot more clothes than she needs.
What do you do about it?
But I'm not divorcing her yet.
Well, I haven't gotten to that stage yet, but she does continually buy clothes and.
Well, keep in mind, if I spoke to her, she probably would tell me a lot of things that are wrong with you.
Impossible.
Impossible. You're perfect.
No, but I guess in the clothes subject, you know, as a male, I wear suits, and there is a limited amount that I have to wear, and yet she keeps buying things that she only wears once, and just to stay in fashion.
But she's well dressed.
Yes, that's true.
Not only that, but when she walks down the street, the other men turn their heads.
I guess you could call that a tendency.
I don't know what to tell you. This is something that you may as well accept in your wife.
Yeah.
And
well, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Good evening. You are on Talknet. I welcome you.
Hi.
Hiya.
I've got a problem with my ex-husband who keeps filing little picky lawsuits against me.
Why? Why is he suing you?
Okay, in August, I took him for the child support. I went to court because he had not paid it.
Right.
So naturally, he says, well, and he had not paid any attention to his daughter. He never came to visit her. And so he said, well, she won't let me see my daughter. He started saying that. So then he started visiting her, and the courts made him pay the child support.
Right.
Okay, that was August. In November, he says, she's making it difficult for me to visit my child. So he dragged me in on that.
And what did the judge say?
Okay, we have gone to trial once, and pretty much all they would deal with was his problems with visitation and why he felt he shouldn't have to pay.
Okay.
And all they did was put him on the stand, and he said what he felt was his problem.
Well, he has a right to do it.
Yeah, and nothing seemed to get resolved out of that. And then in trying to prove why he didn't have to pay, he couldn't prove that his circumstances have changed.
So therefore, he wasted his time.
Yeah, and so it nothing got resolved, and it still dragged out.
The question you're asking me, how do you stop it, right?
Yeah, my attorney fees are $2,500.
The answer is you can't stop it. So in other words, you're picking up a deficiency in our legal system. If you have enough money, you can annoy the life out of anybody.
And he said if I divorced him, he'd make my life miserable.
Well, you see, again, he's talking through his hat. The court is not recognizing it. But basically, he has a right to take you into court because it's proceedings coming out of a divorce. If he continues this much longer, and the court keeps knocking him down, you might think of filing a suit for harassment against him. That may stop him. It may not. In other words, you're discovering one thing. There is no such thing as a happy divorce. You're also discovering another thing. If your husband is a skunk, he can very often cause you all kind of problems, court or no court. What else can I say? I don't know. Except what you might do, of course, by this time you've gotten so court-wise that probably you can go into court without an attorney. Am I correct?
I still have an attorney.
I say, but you've gotten so court-wise that probably you could defend yourself. Am I correct?
I think so.
Try it sometime.
Well, then I would just tell my attorney I don't want to spend any more money.
Well, that's a very ticklish thing because you may lose him. You need him, don't you?
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. What does Mommy and Daddy say about this? Are they helping you?
My dad is the only one alive, and he told me kind of what you did, that anyone can sue anyone.
True.
And you just have to write it out.
True. He'll get tired.
And that, you know, as long as you live your life and you know you haven't done anything wrong.
This is true. In other words, what I'll tell you is something which you should not do. But many a woman that gets away from this on visitation rights, she then accuses her ex-husband of molesting a child. That gets him in real hot water. But don't do it. Because it's a very serious thing. Lots of luck, friend.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Let me remind you that there's some good in the worst of us, and some bad in the best of us. So it ill behooves any of us to speak ill of the rest of us. Good evening, my friend. You're on Talknet, and I'm Bernard Meltzer. Welcome.
Hello, Dr. Meltzer.
Hiya.
I am 25 years old, and I have been divorced for 1 year.
All right.
I have moved out of the state where I was living at the time of our divorce. Since moving back here to my home state, I have tried to get a government-subsidized loan to get a house.
Right.
In the divorce decree, I realized that my husband had really pretty much ruined our credit. So the different agencies I had listed by name in the decree that I was absolved from the debts.
Right.
One was a bank.
Right.
Well, he has since filed bankruptcy.
Right.
And now the bank says that even though I am held, without blame in the decree, that they can still hold my name as a bad credit risk.
Well, they can hold it as a bad credit risk, but they cannot collect from you.
Correct. That was my understanding.
In other words, they can report that the fact that you and your hubby got a loan but never paid it back.
No, that was not the case. It was he turned back a new car.
Whatever it be. In other words, they can report that as a fact. But that doesn't mean that your credit has been ruined, hon. Are you working now?
Yes, sir. And
wait a while. Don't run away from me.
Okay.
What kind of work are you doing?
Okay, I work for a school. I work for the school system here.
Doing what? What are you making?
$325 a month.
Okay.
Plus 300 child support.
Now, have you seen, for example, a copy of the credit report on you?
What I received was one statement from the bank that they had turned my name back into.
No. Once you get turned down for credit,
okay,
you have a right by federal and state law to write to that bank and say, it must be in writing. Say, I request a copy of the credit report which was used as the basis of my turn down. They must give it to you free. Now you've got that, you read it and see what's wrong. And let's say that doesn't mean your credit is killed. Because what you then do is you have to use the Bernard Meltzer technique. Let's say you want to buy a car.
Okay.
So what you do is you make an appointment to go in and see the officer in the bank that's in charge of the division that finances automobiles. And you sit down with them and you say, look, here are my credit, my assets and liabilities. I owe nobody any money. Here's what I'm making now. I can meet the debt, as you can see, and I'm requesting credit from your bank. This is how you break through this situation. You get out of the clerk level. In other words, right now you're negotiating at what I call the clerk level. If you want a credit card, you do the same thing. You sit down with the officer in charge of issuing credit cards for the bank. If you want department store credit, you do the same thing. You sit down with the credit manager of that department store. This is how you get it, but you do it on a one-to-one basis. You understand what I just told you?
Okay. That's one thing I should have explained. I have had no trouble with the department stores, such as some of your name brands.
Yeah, but on the other hand, where you have trouble, do it on a one-to-one basis. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Our toll-free number, coast to coast, is as follows. 1-800-223-4141. And thanks a bunch for the nice things you say about the program. I am Bernard Meltzer, and this is Talknet. Welcome to Talknet.
Hi.
Hiya.
Okay, I was wondering what I could do. Okay, my husband just left me. Like he abandoned me.
Right.
And I was wondering what are my rights to get money from him because...
All right, let's understand. Number one, how long you've been married?
A year and a half.
Are there any children?
No.
Are you working?
Just part-time and I only get 15 hours a week.
And,
and I only make...
How old are you?
I'm 20.
And your hubby, how old is he?
He's 22.
And what does he do for a living?
He's a bill collector.
And what does he make?
I think he makes $950 a month.
So So he doesn't make very much.
Plus commission. Like this month, he's going to get $500 commission.
Well, you see, the marriage has been so short, understand? And you're young, and there are no children involved. So your hubby, in other words, what you've got to do is take him into court and ask for support. And he may say, through his attorney, this lady is 20 years old, she's healthy, she can work and support herself. Or you might defend it and say, no, as I am now ill, I cannot work, or I cannot make much money. In other words, you have to go through a court hearing. But because of the shortness of the marriage and the fact that there are no children, you probably will get either nothing or very little.
Okay, well, also, I have another question. We have a lawsuit that, he has a lawsuit against Yellow Cab. Okay, and he's supposed to get money out of that, and they was talking about settling pretty soon.
Yeah.
Okay, would there be any way that if they settle that I can get money from that?
Are you involved in a lawsuit in any way?
Well, he had the wreck, but I wasn't in the wreck.
The answer is, of course, probably not. But still, I don't foreclose it, because if there's a big payment, in the support order, you will cite that his ability to pay comes about because he's getting a great big payment from Yellow Cab. Understand? But I don't have much hope that you get a lot of money. For two reasons: the shortness of the marriage, you're young, you're healthy, and he is not making very much.
Okay, well, last year he bought a car, and I can't drive the car. So, does that have anything to do with it?
Did you sign for it?
No.
Therefore, it's everything that's thrown into the equation. But the equation is not very heavy against him. What you have to do, if you want to start it off, file for support, let your attorney take him into court for a hearing. You may end up a little bit, but not too much. Thank you. I am Bernard Meltzer, and this is Talknet. Better off than those who do nothing and succeed in the job of doing nothing. Good evening, friend. You're listening to Bernard Meltzer on Talknet.
Hi, Bernard. How you doing tonight?
Okay.
I have a question for you. It's kind of puzzling me. I've been in a relationship with a girl, and the biggest problem I found out, well, we're separated now, she keeps lying to me, not telling me the truth. What would you do in a case like this? I mean, everything that comes out of her mouth is a lie.
There's nothing you can do.
Would you get rid of somebody like this?
Well,
or would you deal with them?
If you have no faith in the person you're having a relationship, that's a terrible relationship.
I mean, it's not only me, it's everybody she lies to.
Okay, so therefore, once you get somebody who you can trust.
When you care for somebody, you just don't want to, I hate this.
Well, in that case, you have to, then you have to look upon another way. None of us are perfect. We all have problems. Her problem is that sometimes she can't tell the truth from the fiction. And therefore, that's something you learn to accept because you love the girl. Just as probably, let's say, she might learn to accept the fact that you don't shave too often.
Right. What I'm trying to say is, should I deal with it?
I'm trying to tell you the fact that if you love the girl, and this thing is not important in your life, and you can tolerate it, continue the relationship.
If I decide to deal with it, would you suggest how?
You just accept it. Let me put it the other way. Let's say your girlfriend could not stand a man with a beard. And you were raising a beard. You didn't shave.
Right.
What does she do? Well, if she loves you, she'll say, look, I don't like it. I don't like to kiss you with a beard. However, because I love you, I'll overlook it. You're in the same boat.
She's had a lot of past family problems. Could that cause something like that, or?
I don't know what will cause it. Don't try to analyze her. She's there as she is, and take her or leave her as she is. You're not a psychologist. If you want to go lay on the psychologist's couch, go ahead and pay money. But right now, cut that out. Thanks. Good evening, friend. Are you there? Welcome. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, my friend.
I am calling. I have a small business, and I'm having difficulty in getting people to pay me without having to wait 2 and 3 months on invoices.
What kind of business do you have?
It's a personalized business.
And what kind of business?
Personalized party items.
A personalized business?
Uh-huh.
What kind of business is a personalized business?
Okay, we personalize party goods. Put your name on party goods.
I see.
And
Well, of course, your problem is very common with business, big and small.
Well, so many of our accounts are out of state. We're in Texas.
Yep.
And they are not local people.
Well, therefore, you don't sell unless they submit to you at least 50% or 100% of the money up front.
Is that ethical to do that?
Of course it's ethical, but they may not give you the business.
That's what I'm afraid of.
So therefore, if you're scared to demand the money up front, you have to suffer the consequence of bad debts. But in every business, there's a certain percentage of bad debts.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't tell you how to collect.
Well,
in other words, if you're scared of that, you do not ship unless it's COD.
Do that.
Thanks. You know, I have no better way to express faith in the future than for a person to sign a 5-year loan for a new car that they know will only last for about 3 years. True, isn't it? Good evening, my friend. You're listening to Bernard Meltzer on Talknet.
Good evening, Bernard.
Yes, my friend.
I'm from Connecticut, and just recently I sold a home for $145,000.
Right.
And then I bought a condo for $111,000 rather.
Right.
And just the other day I was talking with, a couple of friends at work, and they were saying, boy, you're going to get killed on capital gains. And I said, what do you mean? I'm reinvesting everything into my new home.
Yeah, but wait a while. Let me find out what you did here. You bought the $145,000 house for how much?
$40,000.
$40,000. So therefore you made a lot of money on it.
Yes.
How old are you?
38.
Okay, you missed out that way. And the answer is, of course, you've got $145,000, and you're going to have to pay quite a bit of capital gains. You won't get killed because you bought for something less than $145,000. There's a formula that covers you. It won't murder you. And besides, your 40 can. How long have you had that house that you sold for $145,000?
About 8 years.
You put a lot of capital improvements in it, didn't you?
I figure about $15,000.
That adds up to your base. Lowers your capital gains.
Does it just lower the difference between what I bought and what I sold?
That's right.
So that $34,000 would be reduced by $15,000.
It lowers it. In other words, your capital gains, if you bought something for $40,000 and sold for $145,000, then your capital gains is over $100,000. That $15,000 would lower it down to $90,000. And now, of course, since you went ahead and bought something, a question. The one you sold, did you live in it for 5 years?
Yes.
Was it your principal residence?
Yes.
So therefore you can defer part of it. So sit down with your accountant. It's a very simple formula.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. Good evening, my friend. Welcome to Talknet. I'm Bernard Meltzer.
Yes. The question I had, Dr. Meltzer, was that we had just had a credit report run on the family, and our son had one where he had an erroneous report made against him that it was a car.
Right.
This turns out to be that the credit company did not even bother to check the zip codes, and this was from a complete, total different area, another name with the middle initial being the same thing as a car repossessed.
Right.
My question is, how do I remove or get this thing removed from his credit?
You get it removed because you notify them in writing that it's an error. You want it taken off, and you'll give them exactly 2 weeks to take it off. If they don't take it off, then you take them to court, small claims court, and sue them for the limit, based upon the fact that this error has hurt you money-wise.
Okay.
Okay?
But I did notify them in writing, but I didn't give them this 2-week limit.
See, very often they won't do it because they'll say, in order to have this thing removed, we can't take it off. You've got to go back to the people that reported this error. Who reported this error? A bank?
This is apparently a Ford Motor Company.
In that case,
now, this is what I received because I requested a credit report. And this thing is in here. It says, I think it says a variation in name, was all said on the credit report.
Yeah, but who reported this?
Who reported it?
Yeah.
Apparently the Ford Motor Company, whoever repossessed this guy's car.
That's right. So therefore, you better get after the Ford Motor Company and tell them to straighten it out, because otherwise, you'll go after them. And I'll tell you one thing: you take this to small claims court because you don't want to spend money on an attorney, and you bring the Ford Motor Company in to explain how they made this error, and they're very embarrassed.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
You're listening to
Talk. Ask me, and they say, Bernard Meltzer. Good evening, my friend. You're on Talknet.
Dr. Meltzer.
Yes.
I have some advice I need from you.
What's that?
I'll give you a little history first. I'm 22 years old, and I want to go back to college, but I dropped out in the middle of my senior year in high school due to a death in my family.
Right.
And I'm having problems trying to get back into college, and I want to go full-time, and I want to know how to sell myself to college.
Wait a while. Stop running.
Okay.
First of all, you have no high school diploma.
Right.
So you overcome that by taking your GED.
Yes, I did.
And you passed it.
Yes.
So now you have the equivalent of a high school diploma.
Yes.
Now, what do you want to study in college?
I want to take liberal arts to start.
All right. Now, have you taken the SAT examination?
No, I have not.
Well, you better take a cram course on that and get yourself a decent mark, which will allow you to go into almost any college you want to go.
Well, basically,
getting into college is not difficult these days.
Oh, I understand that. I'm worried about discrimination that they're going to
Well, what discrimination are you worried about?
That because I only have a GED and that they usually
No, not at all.
Well, I've run into that with a couple of people that I've talked to.
Well, they don't know what I'm going to use a bad word. The HELL they're talking about.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm a little nervous.
And are you going to go? Are you applying to an Ivy League school equivalent?
No, state school.
Therefore, you're going to get in without any trouble at all.
So I shouldn't have any problems.
Stop worrying about this thing.
Okay.
And I'll tell you this. Just because you got a GED doesn't mean that anybody will discriminate against you. In fact, I've never heard of this in my life.
Well, a couple of people that I have talked to from local colleges have told me that I will be discriminated against. They're going to look at me as kind of a lower.
Instructors and teachers?
One of them was a admissions counselor from a local.
An admissions counselor from a local college told you that?
Yes.
What is he, about 10 years old?
No, it's kind of an Ivy League school that's down the street from where I live.
My good friend, I know so many young men and young women that have gotten into Ivy League schools. In fact, I know once I got into Columbia, which is an Ivy League school from GED. Several got into the University of Pennsylvania, and even one got into Harvard.
Okay,
what are you talking about? Yeah. By the way, you tell that whoever you're talking to, if they don't know what they're talking about, to keep their mouth shut.
Okay.
I'm talking to an old professor here.
Okay, well, I appreciate your advice very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye. Good evening, my friend. I welcome you to Talknet. Welcome, my friend. Hello? Are you there? I think this lady's... Are you listening to your radio, my friend? I think we've lost him.
Hello?
Where were you? Listening to your radio?
No, I'm sitting right by the phone.
And did you hear me?
No.
Okay, talk to me now. You're on the air, my friend.
Okay. I'm calling with a question relating to incest. I'm 32 years old, and my father sexually raped me when I was 24.
24.
I had a perfect childhood. Never would have dreamed this would have happened to me. Got married, had 3 children.
Right.
Ended up getting a divorce. So I was raising my children.
In other words, did this occur before your marriage or after your marriage?
No, this happened after I was divorced and things.
Right.
It was something I least expected. My dad naturally,
What relationship have you had with your dad up to since then?
Perfect. No, not before this incident. Perfect. After this incident, terrible. One incident happened when like I said, I think I was about 24.
In other words, this was more than one incident.
And then a couple years later, it happened again. Again, alcohol, he was drunk, okay. The first time I thought, okay, he was drunk, that explains it. I tried to push it out of my head and forget about it. Then the same incident happened again.
And how long ago this happened?
Let's see, maybe I was 28, so that would be 4 years ago.
And what have you done since then?
Well, nothing. I just kept... See, I live in a different town, so I've been making myself, go and visit, and I just kind of overlook it, like on holidays.
In other words, do you still run across your dad?
Yes, I do. But now...
How does your dad act?
Like nothing happened.
But in your case, it's a lot different, isn't it?
Yeah, it's, I have been shoving it back, and not thinking about it.
Have you been to a therapist?
No, I haven't. It's very hard.
See, if it bothers you to the extent that it does, you should go undergo therapy. You should. So I'm going to say the only suggestion I make is to see a good therapist and see where you go from there.
Okay.
And I hope pretty soon it slides out of your mind.
Well, do you think that this should be talked about with him?
With your dad?
Yeah.
Well, you see, probably if you talk it out with your dad, he's going to deny it. If a therapist talks it out with your dad, he'll deny it too. He'll say this woman is crazy. That's the way this thing usually goes. The therapist probably will believe you and work with you. In many cases, I can tell you, it does take a little while, but you get back to a state that you can cope with life. Try it.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm Bernard Meltzer, and this is Talknet. It is said that children can be a comfort in the old age of parents. You've heard that many a time before. And many parents, by the way, find this to be true. The reason being that many children, by their actions, help their parents reach old age a lot sooner. Good evening, friend. Welcome here to Talknet.
Hello, Bernard. I want to tell you how much I enjoy your programming first.
Thank you.
Okay, I am starting a consulting firm. I need you to kind of, if you can, put...
What are you doing? You're starting a consulting firm?
Yeah.
What kind? What do you...
I'm making the effort to help people start businesses through the aspect of marketing.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the fee is what I'm trying to analyze here. Should I have a flat fee, or should I have a gross income fee, seeing that
Honey,
most of these people have minimal funds?
honey, since you're starting right now and you have nothing, you will have to be very flexible as to what you do.
Mm-hmm.
You accommodate the situation. You
Okay.
understand?
Okay, now should I be thinking in terms of having a contract drawn up?
Yes, you should if they will sign a contract. You understand what I just said too?
Yeah, I personally thought that if, as opposed to not having a flat fee, seeing that there's minimal funds.
You see, you're going to have trouble even getting the first dollar. Because the type of work you do, you have to be qualified as an attorney or a CPA or an economist. Do you mean
Well, I
any?
have a degree in business.
Well, of course, but you have very little experience. Am I correct?
No, as a matter of fact, I teach business.
Well, and I thought here you were 21 years old.
Oh, no. No, do I sound that young?
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
I was saying to myself, how can this lady start a consulting business? She's just out of school exactly 2 days.
Oh, no. No, I teach business classes. I teach marketing. I teach advertising.
In that case, you're qualified.
Okay.
So I would say you have to get a client. In many cases, you have to work with a client because they have no money to pay you right now, and they pay you when your brilliant ideas work out.
Well, okay,
but in
that was my thinking.
In most cases, you charge on an hourly basis.
An hourly basis as opposed to a percentage of...
No, it's very hard to figure out on a percentage. In other words, but you might run across this, where some small businessman might say to you, look, I cannot pay you, but I'll give you 5% of my business. That could happen.
Now, that might just be a positive, but you're talking about partnerships or something in there.
Well, this is what many attorneys and many accountants do. And when the business grows and grows and grows, this is how they get big fees.
Well, see, that's my goal. I want to make successes of these businesses.
So therefore, you accommodate the situation. You understand what I just said?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, friend.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I must go now because the clock says Bernard Meltzer, you're through for this Sunday evening. But don't you cry, because Bernard Meltzer will be back next week. As I said many times before, my stand here at Talknet is Saturday and Sunday night. Every Saturday and every Sunday. And please think of me, my friend, as a friend, your friend to lean on. When you need help, when you're depressed, when you need answers. And our phone number, of course, I've said many times before, is 1-800-223-4141. I must say good night now. God bless you. God keep you. Until we meet again on next Saturday night. Have a good week. I'm Bernard Meltzer, and this is Talknet. Hey, good evening.
Good evening, Uncle Bernard.
Yes, friend.
I'm considering opening a bicycle repair shop in my backyard.
Right.
And I'm wondering if you could give me some information on what I put the charge in that. And do you like to ride bicycle?
I used to like to ride a bicycle. I haven't ridden a bicycle for many years. Right here in New York, where I live, riding a bicycle is the most dangerous thing in the world.
Yeah.
It's a good way to get killed.
I ride all the time, but it can be dangerous, yes.
How old are you, friend?
I'm 39.
And are you sure that you could do it and zoning will not stop you?
What's that?
Zoning.
Yeah.
You're conducting a business.
Yeah.
Are you in a residential zone?
No. I am, yeah. Yeah.
See, what I'm trying to say is, if your neighbors say nothing, you can carry on the business. But if your neighbors complain, they probably will shut you up, close you up.
I've been doing this off and on for a year or so, and the neighbors have never said nothing yet.
And
my spare time.
What else you do?
I work for Burlington Northern in the summer and lay off in the winter in the railroad.
You keep yourself plenty busy.
Yes, I do. I'm always doing something.
I like what you're doing.
So, I work for the...
Go ahead.
Huh?
The service business you're engaged in, there's a need for it. Because right now, many people, when they have a bicycle problem, they go out and buy a new one. They don't have it repaired.
Right. See, what I do is I pick up the old ones that people don't want, and I fix them up and I sell them.
Good for you.
But I wonder what does the person charge for labor? You know what I mean? For repair,
Well, you have to do it backwards. In other words, it depends what you can sell the bike for.
See, a lot of them charge $20 an hour. Now, that's too high.
Well, no, it isn't $20 an hour. In other words, when you pick something up, depending on the labor you put in, in other words, you may pick something up for $10, put in an hour's of labor, and sell it for $50.
That's
Therefore, in
what I
effect,
do.
you're making $40 an hour.
Yeah.
On the other hand, you may only sell it for $20. Therefore, you're only making $10 an hour. You charge what the market will bear, what is fair, my friend.
A friend of mine does it coast to coast downtown here.
Yep.
And I kind of charge what he charges.
That's good.
And he sells a bike like for 35 or 40, and that's kind of what I charge.
Good for you.
And I don't put in any parts unless I have to, because somebody the parts are interchange, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And I got my stores picked out to where I can get parts that cheaper in other places, so.
I like what you're doing, my friend. Keep it up. I am Bernard Meltzer, and this is Talknet. People ask, Bernard Meltzer, what shall we call you? Here's the answer to that question. I would be honored if you would call me friend. I like the title of that best of all. But if you want to be more formal, you can call me Mr. Bernard Meltzer, Captain Bernard Meltzer, Dr. Bernard Meltzer. All these titles have been earned by hard work, study, and service. Good evening, my friend. I welcome you to Talknet. Welcome.
Good evening, Dr. Meltzer. Recently, my home was burglarized twice. Right. And when I called the insurance company to report the burglary, I found that my former husband had canceled the homeowner's insurance.
Right.
So naturally, all of the things that I lost were not covered.
Is the house in your name?
It's in both of our names. Yeah. And he was responsible per the divorce agreement to maintain the insurance.
But he didn't.
But he didn't.
Okay.
So I think my question to you is, I'm trying to choose the most painless option. I've gone to my lawyer, and he has indicated that I should bring my former husband into court for contempt. And I'm trying to decide whether or not I should bring him into court for contempt or have my attorney contact his attorney to discuss the possibility of my buying him out of his share of the house. So, therefore he would be out of my life, so to speak, and I would be responsible for maintaining the insurance and the mortgage payments.
A question.
Yes.
Are there any children?
Yes.
How old?
My daughter is a freshman in college, and my son's a senior in high school.
You see, your attorney may be giving you an answer that he thinks is from a legal standpoint, but he doesn't. He's getting the human problem all mixed up. Suppose you go into court and you get a judge that agrees with him right now and puts him in jail. What happens to your kids? The father is now in jail.
Well,
wait a while. I'm not done with you yet.
All right.
And then, too, of course, once you do that, you'll get your ex-hubby so angry, you'll have a rebel on your hands for the rest of your life.
Well, he already is angry.
On the other hand, what I suggest you do, a question. How much did you lose in the two thefts?
Less than $1,000 in the items.
So why don't you take him into small claims court and sue him for $1,000 and get a judgment against him? That's the least painful of all.
Mm-hmm. Well,
but also, I'll tell you one thing that you've got to do. In spite of the fact that your hubby has canceled the insurance, you better get some insurance on that property while you're living in there, because you might find a property destroyed and nothing comes in.
Right. Well, that's what my attorney has written him a letter as a forewarning to immediately get insurance on the property. Plus, the bank has notified him that they are putting temporary insurance on the property until he does get the insurance.
Yeah, but you see, all this affects you.
Correct.
Because the bank will now say, unless you carry insurance, we'll foreclose.
That's true.
And when they foreclose, they wipe you out.
That's true. And so my alternative also would be to get the insurance myself and then try to recoup the money.
That is right. Get the insurance yourself and then try to recover the money, again, through small claims court.
Well...
And you see, also, it's my considered opinion, if you take your hubby into court, the way courts are these days, the fact that he let the insurance be canceled, he'll get a slap on the wrist for it, and that's all. And then you're going to get a bill.
Well, I'm not sure, because he canceled the insurance 4 years ago, I've come to find out. And, I don't anticipate that the court in this part of the country would just slap him on the wrist, because he did put my children and myself obviously at high risk here. And he certainly can afford to pay the insurance and so forth.
Oh, you are angry, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Oh,
yes.
My. I'm going to tell you one
that
thing.
He's placed us in this type of a situation.
Honey, you'll get a lot more with sugar than vinegar. You know that. You know that. Right now, the way you're going, and remember, your older kid now is going to be over 18 pretty soon. He's going to stop all support. And then you'll have to drag him into court again.
Well, that's not how the divorce agreement was written.
Yeah.
Not until my children emancipated, either 18 or after they finish college, will the child support payments end.
See, therefore he agreed to all this. He isn't too bad.
Yes, this is all in writing per the divorce agreement. So
therefore, he did agree to this, and he isn't too bad a man. The way you're going after him as if he were a deadbeat, he is not, honey. He's just angry. The way you are angry, and two angers don't make for a very compatible situation. Thank you, friend. I'm Bernard Meltzer, and this is Talknet. I'm Bernard Meltzer. Welcome aboard. Are you there? Hello?
Yeah, Dr. Meltzer?
Yes, my friend.
Yes. I'm in a wholesale grocery line consisting of food products and pet products.
Right.
I've been dealing with a national company advertised products on pet products. And several months ago, one of their items became buggy in my warehouse.
Became what?
Buggy.
Full of insects?
Bugs. It's a pet item, a pet food.
Yeah.
And we don't know if it came in that way or if it was an act of God due to the heat.
Right.
And I called up the company.
How long was it in your warehouse?
In my warehouse.
How long?
Oh, well, we got it in May or so, or June. And in August, we noticed it was buggy.
Go ahead.
And we called up the company, and they sent down their sales rep, and they looked at it, and they said, well, we don't want to sell you anymore. I didn't even ask him for any claim of the damage. I didn't even get to that point. But they said, we don't want to sell you anymore because you don't know how to stock the merchandise. And I'm dealing with that company for 10 years already.
Therefore, why you shook up? There are other companies around.
No, well, they are an advertised product. And
there are other companies that are an advertised product.
No, but they are number one. And
so therefore, you're saying to me, number one doesn't want to sell me. I don't want to go to number 2, 3, or 4.
I can't because I'm a wholesaler. I'm not a retailer. See, a retailer could say, well, I'm not going to sell this product. I'll sell something else.
On what basis? In other words, what they're saying to you, in effect, you don't know how to take care of our products.
Right. Now, I deal with other national companies. I have Department of Agriculture coming around periodically to check us, and I have no problem at all. But what they did, they
Yeah,
thought
but I don't know how you can stop them.
Well, see, if I
in other words, if you can claim there's something relating to antitrust here, which I don't see.
No.
There's no antitrust problem.
Right.
There's no monopoly problem here.
No.
What do?
And I have no credit problem with them. I'm rated A1.
So therefore, I suggest what you do is, are you dealing with what, the local rep of that company?
No. Well, it's a national company who has an office locally.
And therefore, what I suggest you do is you've been dealing with the local office, and have you been in contact with them?
Yes. And I've been
You've been in contact with the local manager.
And the head office.
And the main office.
And they sent me a letter, we don't want to sell you anymore because we don't like the way you warehouse our product.
I don't know what you could do about it.
I'm
racking my brain to see how you can go after him. But I don't see how. I do not see how.
I see, if I started for the first time, they can say, well, we don't have to sell you. But here I'm dealing with them for 10 years, and all of a sudden to kick me to
What you might be able to do is, you might get an attorney and file a lawsuit against them, the fact that what they've done casts aspersions on your and degrades your business. In other words, in effect, what they're saying is they're slandering you. And therefore, because of slandering you, it's going to affect your business.
Yes, it has affected me already.
Therefore, you could go after them that way. You might try it.
As a slander item.
In other words, what they're doing is they're unfairly slandering you. And therefore, they're affecting your business. Therefore, you're going after them for damages. Talk that over with an attorney.
I see. Could I ask you another unrelated question?
Go ahead.
This is with a New York bank money market where they allow you 3 checks per month. Anything beyond the 3 checks, they charge you $7 an item.
Right.
I had that in a printed form from them, and I was told when I opened the account. What I did, I made out more than 3 checks. I made out 7 checks. So the other 4 checks, they bounced on me, besides charging me $7 an item.
They bounced it on you?
Yes. When I had quite a bit of bounce. So I called them up, and they said to me, well, you have no right making out any more than 3 checks.
No, that's not true. You pay a penalty for it.
Yes, they charge
me. By bouncing a check, they're causing you a lot of grief.
Right.
Not only, but there's one case where I go right up to the top. I don't think they had a right to do it because basically you've got money in the bank.
I went to the top.
And therefore you write a check. It's a demand for your money. Go ahead.
Well, no, I went to the top, so they said, okay, we'll credit you the 4 $7 items, which is actually contradicting their statement, which says that we have the right to charge you the extra $7 an item.
They have a right to charge you, but they don't have a right to bounce the check.
Well,
That's
what do I
do?
Would I have a case against them?
I think you do.
For what? For
the fact that the damage they caused you when they bounced the checks.
Well, could I sue myself, or do I need an attorney?
No, you'd better get an attorney for that to scare the life out of them.
Oh, you say an attorney is much better.
Yep.
And sue them for X amount of dollars because
whatever damage they caused you.
They caused me shame or whatever.
Or the damage that you can substantiate because they might have killed your credit in the process.
I see.
Thanks. Good evening, my friend. Welcome to Talknet. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes, friend.
Yeah, I guess I'm having a hard time with having people in my family acknowledging that their feelings are not the only thing that is important. See, I'm a middle child.
So what? Yeah. In other words, are you telling me that your parents are, let's say, are hurting your feeling, ignoring you? Is that what you're telling me?
Not so much ignoring.
Listen, not giving you the consideration that you should be getting. Is that what you're telling me?
The consideration of that I'm just as important as my younger sister and my older brother.
In other words, there are 3 children involved.
Right.
And they're taking it out on the middle child. Is that what you're saying?
Well,
they're not really taking. I'm 33 years old.
33.
Right. And just recently, my stepfather passed away.
Right.
He was married to my mother for over 20 years.
Right.
And no one considered that I loved the man, and my brother and sister were never really that close to him.
So what happened?
And during the funeral and all the arrangements, my mother was saying that, well, you know, look at my son here. He traveled from a distance to get here, and my daughter's taking care of this and this, and I was in the middle of that. I was doing just as much as they were, but I was completely ignored.
Did it ever occur to you that your mother, under the stress of the occasion, might not be thinking properly, might not... does she do this all the time, or just this one occasion?
Practically all the time.
Well, I don't know what to tell you, except to say your case is not serious. A lot of it is because it might be that you're oversensitive. Have you spoken to your mother about this?
Well, see, just recently... See, I also have a alcohol problem, and in the upsetting thing about my stepfather dying, I went out and I was drinking. And they sort of, it's all right for them to drink, but not me.
Well, of course, as an alcoholic, you cannot drink.
Right, I understand that. And, you know, there were other ways I could have handled it, but I didn't.
You did not.
Right.
Why don't you forget about the whole incident? Well, why blow up something like that to proportions with it and give it undue importance, and it's now affecting your life, it's affecting your relationship with your family? Stop it.
I just recently started to get it, and I'm trying to...
Sit down and talk it out with Mama. Mama may not be aware of what she's doing. I'm sure Mama doesn't want to hurt you.
I'm trying to get the, I guess, understanding on how to maintain.
Therefore, talk to the people that are ignoring you. Talk to Mama. And if your sister is involved and brother is involved, talk to them too. I'm sure your family doesn't want to hurt you. See if that is not true. I am Bernard Meltzer, and this is Talknet.
And now let's get back to the conversation with your host, Bernard Meltzer, on your Station of the Stars, 980 on your AM dial, WRC.
I would be delighted if you think of me as a trusted family member, as brother Bernard, yes, uncle, dad, cousin, because I hope by now I've earned the privilege of being considered a trusted family member. Good evening, friend. You are on Talknet. Welcome.
Hello.
Hiya.
Hi, how you doing?
Okay.
I have a question about bankruptcy.
All right.
Chapter 7.
Yeah.
I filed a Chapter 7, and I went to my first meeting December of 86. My dismissal is in March next month, but my question was on my federal income tax. I just filled it out, and I'm going to get a return. And I'm wondering, would that go to bankruptcy court, or would that be mine?
That's yours.
Okay, I had two people that had previously filed. I don't know them, but just friends of mine that have talked. And one of them, it went straight to bankruptcy court.
Well, no, it depends whether it was listed as an asset.
Uh-huh. Okay, it hasn't been
listed. Do you know whether on the petition that refund was brought up? In other words, in your hearing, was it brought up?
They asked me in the meeting, December, was I going to get any income tax back this year? And I said, well, I always look for it, but I never get anything back. But this year, it surprised me, and I am getting something back of all years.
I suspect you're going to get it direct because it was not listed in the petition.
Okay, what I'm wondering is, if the other person that I spoke to is right, and they said that it would be theirs, and I did spend it, would I be liable to pay it back within something
Honey,
like 10 days or something?
Sometimes when you ask foolish questions, you get foolish answers.
Uh-huh.
You just asked me a foolish question, I don't want to give you an answer. You understand?
Uh-huh.
Because the answer I'm supposed to give you will disappoint you, and therefore I say, forget about the question you asked me, and I'll forget about giving you an answer.
So as long as it wasn't put in my petition to give them my refund check for 86, it's mine.
Right.
Okay. All right, then. Well, thank you.
Bye-bye. Welcome to the program that brings you answers not only based upon fact and knowledge, but also based upon the wisdom that comes from many years of life experience. Good evening, my friend. Welcome to Talknet.
Yes, Mr. Dr. Meltzer. I would like, my son would like to buy a condominium.
Right.
Let's say it's $30,000, and the bank will give him $25,000 on what he makes yearly.
Right.
I will give him the $5,000. The bank,
You are giving him the down payment.
down payment.
Right.
The bank will not allow me to. They'll allow me to give it to him, but only have to have a letter saying it's coming from a gift or something like that.
That's right. In other words, what the bank wants to make sure that the bank knows about it now, and they want to make sure there's equity in the property.
Uh-huh.
So therefore, they want a letter from you which says you're giving a gift, which means you can't get it back.
More or less.
That's right.
And they will not give him that mortgage with the second mortgage that I would like, getting my $5,000 back.
So why did you open your mouth?
Well, it hasn't gone. I mean, I haven't said. No, okay, I haven't done it.
Let me tell you how you do it. Okay.
How?
Sometimes you talk too much. People, they get in trouble. When your son is buying the condominium and he made out the application, they ask, where are you getting the down payment of $5,000? He puts in for my resources, my money resources, the personal resources. And that's the end of it. When he starts telling him it's coming from mama, or it's coming from a friend, or so on, that's where the trouble starts. Now, what you do in a case like this is you very quietly have your son sign a mortgage, and you go through closing, and a week or two later, you put the mortgage on record. Now it becomes a second mortgage. The bank knows nothing about it.
And that's legal? I can do that? The bank won't get mad at me?
Well, get mad at you, but it's legal.
Now, I have to go to a lawyer for that.
Well, of course, unless you can prepare a mortgage yourself, can you do it?
No, well, now, in other words...
But you have to be careful that it goes on record, let's say, later than the first mortgage. Because if you put it on record ahead of the mortgage, that becomes a first mortgage, and the bank becomes a second mortgage.
Yeah.
And then you've got trouble.
So, I go to a lawyer when I close. Have my lawyer there.
No. Go to a lawyer and explain to him what I just explained to you right now. That you want your mortgage of $5,000 to be a second mortgage to be entered up several weeks after the closing.
And that's okay. That can be done. So in other words, I'll go to him for the closing, and then 2 or 3 weeks later...
No, you don't appear at the closing at all.
Oh, he'll be at the closing. All right, so say we use that lawyer for my son, and I don't enter into it at all.
Right.
And my son goes to the closing...
Use the same lawyer your son is using.
And a couple of weeks later, go back to him and have him make out...
No, honey. Your son signs the mortgage at the time, more or less, when the closing is taking place. And then it's put on record several weeks later. Because right now, I will tell you, if you come back to your son, let's say several weeks later, he may decide not to sign it. Therefore, it's signed all at once, but not put on record. Thanks. I hope I explained it by now. You know, many people work very hard. Yes, they work very hard when looking for a job. But there also are many people, and this is a lot of people, who quit looking for work the day after they find that job. That's why they're always looking for a job. A bit of wisdom from Bernard Meltzer. And thank you all, my radio family, and I meant to say from time to time, thank you all for the nice things you say about the program. Thanks a bunch. Our phone number, coast to coast, is toll-free. I invite you to call. Here it is, 1-800-223-4141. Let me go over that again. 1-800-223-4141. Remember, it's toll-free. Cost you nothing to call. I am Bernard Meltzer, and this is Talknet. Let me give you our toll-free number. You can call Bernard Meltzer and say hello, make a comment, ask a question, need help. 1-800-223-4141. And let me remind you that this program is a combination of human interest and drama and information, affairs of the heart, affairs of the pocketbook, affairs of the spirit. You learn as you listen. You learn as you are being entertained. Good evening, friend. Welcome to Talknet. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, my friend.
Hello, Mr. Meltzer. First of all, I'd like to tell you I love your program.
Thank you.
Before I get into my problem, I was driving home in June of 1986. I was driving home on Route 93, and there was a lot of debris on the road.
Right.
I was in the first lane, closest to the side of the road, and there was what I thought was like a big brake drum of a big truck. So I went into the second lane after following another car. So in the second lane further on down the street, the car pulled out of the way in front of me and went into the first lane again, and I didn't see. I did see it.
So what happened?
In the second lane, there was the big brake shoe of a big truck.
Yeah, so what
And
happened?
I couldn't avoid it, or else I would have hit, traveling cars on either side of me. So I had to hit it. And it wrecked the bottom of my car, so I pulled over to the side, and I walked over to the call box. All the oil dripped out of my car. Walked over to the call box and called the state police. After 2 times, after 45 minutes, finally the state police came. So he took all the information, and he asked me what happened, and he said, I did notice all the debris all over the road. He said it must have fallen off of a big truck. So he had my car towed to a garage, a public garage, and at night my son came with a friend and towed it to my garage.
Yeah, but I still don't understand the problem.
The problem is, in October of last year, I got a surcharge notice.
How much did it cost you to repair the car?
They totaled it.
How much did they give you? Money?
They gave me, they were going to give me $2,100. And I bought it back from the insurance for $800.
All right.
And I had it repaired. And I still have the car, and it still runs beautiful. But I got a surcharge notice in October.
Right.
And it says, if I don't feel like I'm 50% at fault, that I should appeal it, which I did.
Right.
So now I got an appeal notice, and my hearing is coming up this week.
Right.
So I called the state police to get a copy of the police report.
Right.
Now, they told me that I should call the Concord State Police. So I'd call them, and they told me that I should send a check for $5 to pay for the copy and a self-addressed stamped envelope, which I did.
Right.
So by last Thursday, when I didn't get it yet, I called them again to see if they were mailing it out to me so I would have it for this week when I go for my hearing. And they told me that they did not have a report.
Well, so therefore, instead of making a major case out of it, why don't you get in your car and go down there with a $5 check and get a copy of the report?
They don't, the police, the state police never put in the report.
Yes, but on the other hand, it doesn't matter. You need the report in a couple of days. You'll worry about that later, what happened to it. Right now, your first priority is get a copy of that report, and that's what you do.
But he never put it in. There's no record of it.
I mean, there's no record of it.
There's no record. He never turned it in.
Well, probably. Therefore, why don't you find out why the state police did not put it in? Why the trooper did not put it in?
How can I find that out? I don't even know who he was.
You know when the accident occurred?
Yes.
You know what barracks he's with, don't
I
you?
called there, and they looked it up, and they said there's no report. There was only 3 accidents that day, and mine was not one of them.
Well, that may be the case. If you can't trace it, you can't trace it. That's not unusual. It happens many times before.
So should I still go for the hearing?
Of course. Go for the hearing and explain. And if they ask you where's the state police report, you say you investigated, and there is none. Tell the truth. I still think you'll come out all right.
Well, in the meantime, in January of this year, we moved to another state. So I had to get new insurance because the former company did not cover the state that I was moving to. So now I got a letter this week from my new insurance, and they're telling me that my former insurance is charging me with 2 surcharge points.
So whatever it be, honey, you've got to go to the hearing and try to get it removed. And if you cannot get it removed, then you're going to have to live with it. Thank you. I'm Bernard Meltzer, and this is Talknet. Let me remind you, time is the most precious of gifts. No one has yet discovered a way that can recapture lost or wasted time. So treasure your time here on Earth. Every day gone is lost forever. There is no way you can replace or recapture even a small fraction of a lost day. Good evening. You are listening and talking to Bernard Meltzer on Talknet.
Yes, sir, Mr. Meltzer. I'm calling to see if you could tell me exactly what the Vietnam Veterans Delayed Stress Syndrome is. I'm a Vietnam veteran, and I've heard so much about it, and I've had a number of problems in my life, I guess, as
well, of course, you said,
many other people have had.
See, I'm not an MD. You must understand that, okay? So therefore, I may have trouble defining it. I'll define it in layman's terms that I know of. In other words, what they're saying right now, when the Vietnam vet gets back into society, American society, somehow or other, the stress that he experienced in combat in Vietnam breaks out a couple of years later in the form of, let's say, inability to cope with problems. That's about all I can say. And that's been happening, by the way, not only in Vietnam, it's been happening in all over. Remember, in World War II, for example, many of us went through 4 years of combat. And we were not exactly being treated with kid gloves. And of course, so I would say it's being recognized right now, and the Veterans Administration, by the way, has given service-connected treatment to veterans that show the delayed stress syndrome. That's about all I know about it.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Mr. Meltzer.
Thank you.
I enjoyed talking to you.
Bye-bye. You are listening to Bernard Meltzer on Talknet, a #1 talk show and a #1 talk network. Good evening. Welcome to Talknet. Hello?
I'm not only listening, I'm talking.
Go ahead.
Dr. Meltzer.
Yeah.
I liked your show for a long time.
Thank you.
Now, listen, I have sort of a philosophical question.